GNCC returns to RacerTV.com for round number 11. The Summit Bechtel Reserve here for the Mountaineer GNCC. And what a wild round number 10 we had. We saw Wyatt Wilkin taking his first career win. We had Walker Fowler, who planned on sitting on the sidelines and being a spectator, said, "No, sir, I went in on the action." Ends up second on the day as Merritt rounds out the box, and Bryson Neal with the mechanical, a DNF, still in a comfortable position to maintain that points lead and bring home the 2024 championship. But this is GNCC, and anything can happen, and it starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Good afternoon and welcome to round number 11 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship. We are back in West Virginia here for the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. Our salute to first responders. Johnny Gallagher, always a special week. We talk a little bit about September 11th, all those years, more than 20 years ago now, but this is kind of our opportunity to thank those first responders, and we'll take this opportunity to thank those first responders watching at home today live on Racer TV. We've been paying tribute to those men and women all weekend. It's been a special weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a special facility, and it gives us the opportunity close to the anniversary of 9/11, obviously, and a lot of first responders here with us this weekend, and also at home. Good to have them on and following along, and again, much respect to everybody who's paid those debts for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little racing. We go back a couple of weeks ago. We'll take a look at this Specialized race recap. Johnny, this was a wild one. If you're wondering, it was overcast. It was. This was a delayed start. We had a storm front move in. We had to delay it. It created for an interesting day. We got to see Walker Fowler because of this, and we know how it ended, but we'll get to that in a moment. But Johnny, this was a wild one. We see Bryson Neal out in front.
Yeah, I mean, these guys went to the starting line. We're essentially getting ready to be called to the line due to a storm front coming in. Everything pushed back, and again, as you said, created an opportunity for a rider that wasn't even planning on being out there, who we'll see a little bit later. But early in the race, it was all about Bryson Neal and Wyatt Wilkin. Wyatt Wilkin really on the charge from the get-go in this one, but Bryson Neal able to get out front, not opening up a huge lead, but just getting clear of these guys early in the race. But man, Wyatt Wilkin, there we see him on screen, was really just on a mission, was challenging Bryson early, and as he got comfortable, continued to do so. There we see Hunter Hart, another rider early in the race, putting in a great charge. Adam McGill with a damaged axle, but still not giving up the fight. And then here we see Hunter actually working his way around Wyatt Wilkin, getting into that number 2 spot. And then this is where everything changed, Mikey.
Yeah, and just a tough break for Bryson Neal, and you can see it right there. And you can almost tell in the body language of Bryson Neal, he thought, yeah, this is it. That's the day right there. Hunter Hart ended up, from what we understand, took the lead right after that. And then the same thing happened to him, having a tough break like Bryson Neal. And then Wyatt Wilkin, who pre-show we said, man, well, how would you feel if you won one of these? He says, I have no idea. I don't know what would go through my mind. There he is through the GBC pit stop, and would be on his way for his first career win, Johnny, in just his second year of pro racing.
But look who came out of nowhere from
also
behind.
True. Yes.
The 723 of Walker Fowler, originally not even lined up for the first, what would have been start. Saw the opportunity when the rains came, was not going to race due to a surgery he had throughout summer break, and said, you know what, I think I can do this. I'm going to go out there and try and salvage some points. I'm still in this fight mathematically, and put a charge on at the end of the race, getting to the rear wheels of Wyatt Wilkin. Ultimately, Wyatt Wilkin laying it down. You can see that machine overheating.
Yes.
Walker Fowler having the same overheating issues and backing it down. Saying he was kind of running out of energy as well, but Wyatt Wilkin just laid it all down, got to the finish line first, checkered flag, and watch the steam just right here. You can see him revving that machine out, and he completely disappears. But a very, very happy, and rightfully so, Wyatt Wilkin crossing the finish line. for his first GNCC win.
Yeah, just a sensational day, a strange day. All of the scenarios that played out. Wilkin taking his first win. Walker Fowler, it might have been coaxed a little bit by some friends to get out there and race, but certainly paid off for him. And then Josh Merritt, we didn't even talk about him in the recap, but it's still, again, a stellar ride by him. Another podium for Merritt. This has become a regular thing for him.
Yeah, and the reason we didn't talk about him is he wasn't on screen. He was in the back all day, fought, scrapped, clawed his way, ironically getting on the podium, but giving up that third place in points. As we look and we see here the top 10 overall, Bryson Neal still with a pretty commanding lead out front there, but still it has come down. It is now down to 26 points. It was much more than that just a week ago. He was in the realm of potentially clinching. Walker Fowler able to make up 25 points, closing things up, and then we see that battle there for third. I mean, Wyatt Wilkin, Josh Merritt absolutely neck and neck battling over that final podium position for the season. So a lot to race for here today.
Yeah, that's it. It's interesting, the comments section. We love our comments section. But, it's always, they're going to talk about Walker's got a chance right now. Well, mathematically, he still does have a chance. Anything can happen, but we can't ignore the fact that Bryson Neal does have a comfortable lead. We understand that. There's 3 rounds left. The odds that B. Neal has DNFs the next 3 rounds, I can't imagine that happening. But that's why we race, Johnny. And Walker Fowler knows that. You don't give up until it's over. So it creates for some good racing these last few rounds.
And here's one of those things, you can say the comments section, there's no favorites here. Walker Fowler, a very good friend of mine. Yeah. But I think what we all, and I like Bryson Neal as well, what we all want to see, good racing. We want to see it come down to the end. We don't want to see, and nothing against Bryson or the years that Walker did it, or Caleb Russell did it, or Bill Balance did it way back in the day. It just doesn't have that same hype once the championship isn't up for grabs. Yeah, they're still out there racing for race wins, but now, this is a 26-point game, which that's one bad race.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And sure, Bryson may go out there today and really kind of put the nails back close to into the coffin on this thing, but it just brings a little more excitement to the day. So all the fans at home, even if you're a Bryson Neal fan, you want to see him wrap this thing up, but you also kind of like to see good racing. I think we're going to see some excellent racing today.
And Johnny, we've been coming here for a few years now, not our first year here. The Summit Bechtel Ranch, or Reserve, excuse me. Beautiful, beautiful facility, home of the National Scouting Jamboree, founded in 2010, just over 11,000 acre property. Boy Scouts of America is out here. This place has everything. I mean, if you skate there, the boys from Racer TV got to enjoy the skate park the other night. This place has it all. So this is one of those, I think, if you've not been out here to race with us, put this one, circle it next year on the calendar. This is one you don't want to miss.
Absolutely. And coming here, not everybody gets the opportunity. This facility isn't normally open to the public, so to be able to be here for GNCC is special.
It's very, very special. We take a look at that track map. This is a good old-fashioned GNCC, Johnny. And to talk more on that, we will throw it to Jared Bolton for our Yamaha Racing track description.
Well, thanks, guys. Welcome back to the Mountaineer, and boy, this is a good one. We've finally been able to flip the direction of this track. We've only ever done that one time. That was the second year we were here, and due to the lay of the land here, we haven't been able to do that since then. We've been inundated with rain ever since. It seems like every year we get hit with some rain at some point. Haven't been able to flip this track around. Well, guess what? This year we got quite the opposite. It's really dry and dusty this weekend. The track's running the opposite direction. What's that mean? Well, some of those big downhills are now big uphills. You'll see a couple of really, really steep hill climbs out there in the woods. And, of course, those rock gardens, well, now they're going to be running the other direction. The stuff that's been flipped over, knocked over, ran down pretty nice and neat, well, now it's going to be sticking up and jagged, going to make those rock gardens a little more difficult, make this course even more difficult than it usually is. Now, when you come here, everybody talks about those rocks. But, of course, there is the elevation change like I mentioned earlier. This course is a technical one. It's a tough one. But it's got some fast stuff here and there to break it up. Overall, beautiful race course, beautiful weekend of racing. Minus a little bit of dust. But, hey, after the year we had this year and last year, a little bit the year before that, we'll take some dust here and there. That's this weekend's track description. Back to you guys.
All right, and thank you, Jared Bolton, for that Yamaha Racing track description. Also, thank you to OPAG, our producer Adam Gordon, for that GoPro footage showing you just a little bit of exactly what these guys and gals are going to be out there competing on today. We're going to let Mikey Waynes head down to the starting line, do some 10-second calls. We're going to get this race off and rolling, and you're going to follow along with us on Racer TV for all the live action.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom.
How's it going?
We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
It's bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. Sounds like we are ready now, and we want to welcome everybody at home watching on RacerTV.com, the Mountaineer GNCC. And as the folks at home begin to watch and we are gathered here on property, we'd like to ask at this time, this is our salute to first responders here this week. So if you are a first responder out there, start making your way up here to the XC1 line, and we want to present you guys with a challenge coin. Now, I promise you, if you got a job to do out there, or if you're racing, we will give you time to get back to your machine. But at this time, we want to ask any of our firefighters, our EMTs, doctors, nurses, our military servicemen and women, whether you're currently serving or retired, step on up here to the front line, and we're going to present you guys with a challenge coin. There, we got a few. Don't be shy, folks. I promise we will give you time to get back out to your spots. There we go. There is some of our first responders from the GNCC Nation. More of them gathering on. If you're on the sidelines over there, come on out here. You've got time. And on behalf of Racer Productions and GNCC, you're being presented with a challenge coin. And again, most of the folks out here remember 9/11/2001, September 11th. There was an attack in our country that changed the shape of our country, changed the shape of the world, if we're being completely honest about it. And it took men and women on the front lines helping out our fellow Americans, whether it be in the hospitals, on the streets themselves, so that we could get back on our feet as a nation. And without people like we see right here on the front line of a GNCC, that would not have been possible. It sounds cliche, but because you strapped your boots on days like 9/11 and moving into the future, that we are allowed to enjoy the freedoms like we have here in this country, where we get to throw our leg over an ATV or a motorcycle and do what we love, and that is go racing. So on behalf of GNCC and Racer Productions, thank you for your service. And if you're watching at home on Racer TV, thank you for your service as well. Let's hear it. Make some noise. Your first responders here at the GNCC. And what more appropriate way? If you're able to stay there, I'll give you time to get back to your machines, I promise. We'd like you folks to lead us by example through our prayer and our national anthem. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will turn our microphone over to Mr. Ricky Towery to lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mikey. Hey, let's go to the Lord this afternoon. Let's have a word of prayer together. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for getting us all here safely so we can have some fun together. You brought us to such a beautiful place. Lord, we ask you to watch over these riders this afternoon, that you would keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. We do thank you for the scouts, for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to watch over each and every one of them and all the volunteers that helps them each and every day. Lord, our military men and women, right now they're in places we don't even know about. But that's the reason we're safe and we're free, because they watch over us every day. Take care of them every day. Our leaders at the high level and the local level, we ask that you would let them make the right decisions for our country each and every day. Lord, we've been talking about 9/11 this week. It's been 20-something years, Lord, since it happened. But it seems like it was only yesterday. Be with the families and friends that lost ones and are still struggling today. Help them get through it. We thank you for watching over us as a country and letting us move forward and keep moving every day. Keep doing that for the days to come. These first responders that's here today are just like the ones that were there when 9/11, when the towers failed and they rushed in there to help people. We thank you so much for each and every one of them, what they do for us today. We ask that you keep watching over us as we head down the road home later this weekend, that you would take us home safely so that one day we're going to get back together again and we're going to have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And now as Ricky Towery will make his way over to turn number 1. At this time, our XC2 riders stepping forward to join our first responders right there, helping to lead us by example. At this time, we ask for you to stand at attention, remove your hats, and cross your hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the singing of our national anthem by Kyla Meadows.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right. If that doesn't get the adrenaline going, mercy sakes alive. check your pulse. We are just about ready to set it off now here at the Mountaineer GNCC, but first, we got to meet our starting row for the XC1 Pro Class. So without further ado, let's meet your starting row for the XC1. Jeremy Holbert, you ready? All right, without further ado, what does a do mean, by the way? I have no idea. I just know it's a thing. Let's keep our spectators clear here between turn number 1 and turn number 2. And here we go. The number 1 out of Bidwell, Ohio, aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line next, the 7-2-3 out of Rogers, Ohio, aboard the WFR GBC Fly Racing and BNR Racing back to Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Rolling to the line next, he's coming off his first career overall win out of Hillsboro, Ohio, aboard the Action Off-Road GBC and Hauser-backed Yamaha, Wyatt Wilkin. Rolling to the line next, the number 5 out of Akron, Ohio, aboard the Action Off-Road GBC and BNR Motorsports back Yamaha, Josh Merritt. Rolling to the line next, the number 8 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, aboard the BNR Motorsports Kenda and Fearless back Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. Rolling to the line next, the number 8. Number 8. We got him. My bad. That was Stephen Harrell. How about the 521? You're doing your job right. My bad, Gator. Rolling to the line next, the 521. West by God, Virginia's own, aboard the McGill Mafia, Ober, and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. Rolling to the line next, the number 2 out of Newfield, New York, aboard the Fly Racing Ithaca Recreation Sports backed Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Up next, the 703 out of Petersburg, Indiana, aboard the Action Off-Road, Maxxis Fly Racing and Lone Star backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. Up next, the number 9 out of Casca, Pennsylvania, aboard the JMR GBC, Elka and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. Up next, the number 12 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, aboard the Action Off-Road, Amsoil and CB Racing backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. Up next, the number 10 out of Acme, Pennsylvania, aboard the Action Off-Road and Pro Graphics backed Yamaha, Jay Shadrod. Up next, the 712 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha backed by Action Off-Road, John Galata Jr. Up next, the 714 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, aboard the Bulletproof Doors, Kenda Tires, and Senge Graphics backed Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. And last but certainly not least, the 246 out of Walker, West by God, Virginia, on the Sturdivant Power Sports Moose Racing and Impact Solutions back Yamaha, Brandon Owens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. Just a reminder, absolutely no spectators between turn number 1 and turn number 2 outside of media credential and staff. Back behind the white stringer lines, folks. Now DJ Judd jumps into the Yamaha R-Max 1000, puts on the seatbelt, throws on the sparkle helmet, because safety third, at least top 5. I'm kidding, that's a joke, it's a terrible joke. Safety first, always. And this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line, all eyes will fixate down into turn number 1, where the maestro, Ricky Towery, will take the reins of this race. And we go as Ricky goes. A big deep breath. Remember your breath, folks. In for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds. You'll be much more relaxed, I promise. Ricky now steps out onto the track. He steps forward and lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Mountaineer GNCC Racing. As Ricky now steps back, he will step out once again. Another big deep breath for Ricky Towery. As there it is, the blue flag waves, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now. Let's get them shut down, guys. There we go. And I got to ask you, West Virginia, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that was pretty decent. But by God, we are honoring our first responders here this weekend. Let's do it for them. I know you know somebody out there that is a first responder in some capacity. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. We had a little jump start right there, firing the engine up early, and a late start by the 621. How about this? The 714 of Rodney Rush out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, will grab the Canati Tires Whole Shot Award. Wyatt Wilkin, a late start on that one as we reset the deck. XC2 Pro-Am. 10 seconds. B&R Motorsports Whole Shot Award up for grabs. Alex Tiemann, Keaton Henderson, Jeremy Ledon, Dalton Keats, Grayson Eller, Christopher Howard, Braxton Gross, Kenny Schick, Alex Elioff, Brady Myers, Dylan Walraven, Chance Hickey, Tyler Jones, Tanner Walker, and John Glotta. That is going to be, ooh, man. I did not catch the helmet sticker. It looked like 250, maybe 259. Kenny Schick, maybe. We're going to have to look at the footage on that one. Going to be a wee bit dusty today, folks. College A, 16 to 18. Ready to roll. 10 seconds. Aiden Jones, Evan Osborne, Andre Williams, Jeremiah Wolf, Talon Stout, Nick Daring, Jordan Berg, Logan Steele, and Dayton Hickey. Riders jockeying for position through the first turn right there. Little Rubbins racing, good for you. Oh, a challenge, 3-4-1. Jeremiah Wolf out of Medina, Ohio. Aboard the Yamaha. Grabbing that whole shot in early lead, Junior A, 19 plus. 10 seconds. Corey Vandelander, David Machisco, Colton Kusta, Ryan Hendershot, Briggs Lizelle, Caden Hodvick, Connor Brandt, Jason Rude, Josh Noble, David Witt, Trace Furby, Wesley Wirtz, Zach Knight, Christopher Kirby, DJ Malo, Brody Livingood, and Lane Felder. No doubt about it, 028. That is Corey Vandelander out of Kingston, Ohio, on that Vandy Racing Action Off-Road and Trenton Incorporated back ride. Grabbing that whole shot in early lead. Vet A, 28 plus. 10 seconds. Tyler Griffith, Henry Moore, Nick Davidson, Justin Miller, and Tom Coombs. 228 out in front on that inside line. That is Nick Davidson. Can he turn it into a whole shot? No, he'll be challenged. Oh, takes his lunch money. He loses the early lead, grabs the whole shot. Doing it in a little bit of style. I like it, fellas. Senior Ray, 40 plus. 10 seconds. Dirk DeCerci, the Marlboro Man, Todd Muscala, Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Sean Slattery, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, Derek Hart, and Robert Henson. Through turn number 1 we go, kicking a little dust up. No doubt about that one. Papa P, Jeff Pickens, out of Shamokin, Pennsylvania on the GBC Waynesburg Yamaha and Fly Racing back ride, grabbing that one. College B, 16 to 18. 10 seconds. Cameron Mulholland, James Berger, Andrew Adams, Austin Kiger, Austin Miller, Ethan Hopkins, Triple XO, Jackson Carroll, Landon Ostrich, Racer Chanel, Quentin Gauker, Landon Kosler, Reeston Richards, Noah DeCerci, Evan Ruckel, and Aiden Aliff. Who wants it? Oh, taking it away. That might have been, man, maybe the 963. I just saw a 3 at the very end. We got a rider into the repeater banner. Help is on the way. Pay attention to the signal from Ricky Towery. Junior B, 19 plus. Here we go. 10 seconds. Michael Worth, Corey Zeck, Corey Tedder, Gavin Temple, Joey Stewart, Adam Safel, Easton Snyder, and Brandon Cutlip. Into the first turn we go. Oh, stalls it out. Oh, a little fist in the air. Looked like 587. Adam Safel putting a little bit of hot sauce on that one, getting it done. One rider goes over. He's got it flipped back on the rubber side down. 10 seconds. Bet B, 28 plus. Clayton Kawasaki, Belford Spurgeon, Clint Watson, Eric Murphy, Tyler Foster, Christopher Streebing, Tyler Miller, William Barger, Zach Bothwell, and J.D. Higgins. Around the first turn we go. Ooh, little checkup from the neck up. Who wants it? 814 wants it. How much you want to get for it now? Zach Bothwell out of Covington, Georgia on the DeRisi Racing Spider Graphics and Action Off-Road backed Honda Senior B, 40 plus. 10 seconds. Shane Worth, Matthew Hartwell, Ricky Lewis, Ben Dunlap, Joe Dehart, Chris Carson, Russell Fry, Bobby McCauley, Douglas Bailey, Jamie Bonner, Aaron Delancey, Jeffrey Kuhn, and Steve Kiggins. All right, that start line is clear. Let's see. 383. That's going to be Ben Dunlop out of Greenville, Pennsylvania on the Benny D's on and off-road WPS Fly Racing backed Honda, grabbing that whole shot and early lead. Let's see. We're clear on the starting line. Looks like we're clear between turn number 1 and turn number 2. You are free to move about the country, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us here for the race start. Take a short break, get in a word from our sponsors, and be back with more from the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC right after this.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Well, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beckley, West Virginia for the 2024 Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. This is round number 11 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. My name is Jackson Burrow, and I'm alongside Zach Herron to help you bring today's coverage. Zach, it's good to be back at the Boy Scout camp.
Man, it's always a good day to be at GNCC Racing. But, yes, this entire facility, this track, the property itself, it's an incredible location for sure. I mean, the Mountaineer is definitely one that I think a lot of people circle on their calendars just because of how much there is to do besides the racing itself. But ultimately, that's what we're here for, right? The racing. Let's show you exactly how the racing got started with our Specialized start recap. I mean, Jackson, you saw in that last shot, a little bit of dust in the air, a little different conditions than what we're used to, but one thing you can always count on, the racing is going to be top-notch. We take a look at the XC1 Pro Class. Neck and neck. Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal line up right next to each other. They're on the inside of that first corner, but how about Ronnie Rush rushing around the outside and stealing the lead away? I don't know where exactly that hole shot line is, but I'm giving it to Ronnie. Ronnie Rush grabbing the hole shot out of that XC1 Pro Class, leading them into the woods. And we talked about today, you can see the dust on your screen. That's going to be crucial, Jackson. You want to be up front early. We take a look at the XC2 Pro Am class. Once again, it was a drag race headed into turn one. A lot of riders funneling to the inside, but carrying a little bit of speed around the outside headed into turn two. Kenny Schick actually able to close the door. There you see a little bumping and grinding. Had to make it stick, but nonetheless, he finds himself in that number one spot. Little look back over the shoulder, letting everybody know, yep, I'm up front. I'm leading the way. That is your XC2 start. Jackson, with dust like this, how advantageous do you think that's going to be, especially in the XC1 class? Let's actually bring the expert in here. He's throwing the headset on as we speak. Johnny G, as a guy who's been out there and probably dealt with conditions like this, how important is that start today?
Well, Zach, as we watch on screen, you see that dust rising up out of those trees. Well, that's just what they would call a cherry on top of the dust cake here today. We always try to paint a picture of a beautiful scene here at the Summit Bechtel, but the reality of it is a war zone down in those woods right now. The dust is the thickest we've seen in years. Morning racers telling us that visibility was absolutely zero in many places, but hey, these are the elements of GNCC racing. We didn't get rain. Look at this. You can see on screen, absolutely just standstill dust. 15, 20 seconds later, no riders coming through, dust still hanging there. How important was it to get the whole shot? Go back, rewatch the pre-race interviews. Almost every one of the XC riders saying, hey, some guys are going to take the gamble and try to count today and go for it, willing to take that 30-second penalty. If they gamble wrong, we had 2 riders start early. Don't know if we know who those riders are yet. We'll leave that to the race officials, but we see our Yamaha Racing track map on screen.
Without a doubt, and as if the dust wasn't enough, this is a very high-speed course as well. Not only do we have a lot of fast sections, but with it being so dry and hard-packed, hearing a lot of riders talk about the chatter, all right, the square edge bumps. Say everything's good 1 second. Next thing I know, I hit one bump. My bars are taken out of my hands. So riders going to have to be on their P's and Q's and really paying attention to what's coming up. and that's going to be that much harder in the dust like this, Jackson. Now we're actually getting a great look at our Yamaha Racing onboard kind of track preview. OPAG giving us a first-hand look as to what the conditions look like. Now, obviously, 2 wheels on your screen right now, 4 wheels on track as we speak, but nonetheless, you see how many of those big rocks, like you talked about, Jackson, not just out there, but they're very loose as well. They kind of shift as the riders make their way through them. Lots to look out for on this course.
Yeah, hearing a lot about the rock gardens as the riders make their way through. That's one of the main things that we talked about on the podium today, was how many rocks there was, the rock gardens. We've talked about the square edge bumps. As you can see, a smoother section of the trail, but nonetheless, if you can't see, Johnny, it's going to be hard to keep it smooth, especially in sections like that we're seeing. So going to get to take a look here at the facility. Such a beautiful facility here for the Boy Scout camp. Such an honor to get to come and race on these grounds. As you can see, a huge facility here.
Well, absolutely. You know, we're very proud to have 2 of our very own Eagle Scouts in the Racer TV crew. I'm not going to name their names, but nonetheless, they knew all about this place long before GNCC. This is the home of the National Scouting Jamboree. If you've grown up, you know, a lot of Boy Scouts, obviously a very important part of a lot of young people's lives. There you see the skate park that Jackson and myself may or may not have shredded on, and it's just a good time. There's so many different activities, from rock climbing, zip lining, kids being taught how to skateboard, taught how to get into these kind of action sports. So nonetheless, plenty of stuff going on. But right now, the only thing on everybody's mind is GNCC Racing. We're getting a little replay look at your leaders as they made their way through. There you saw Ronnie Rush, and look at the gap already, Johnny. That is why that start is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie Rush, I mean, he just basically cashed a big check there getting that whole shot, and more than what the, $250 for the whole shot. He put himself up front early on. Look at that. John Glauda actually up to the number 3 spot. Walker Fowler there in second. Now here comes Bryson Neal sitting in the number 4 spot. So Glauda making moves here early, actually getting around Bryson Neal. And folks, like we've talked about, don't mean to beat a dead horse, but every one of these XC1 guys, and honestly, probably most riders head to this starting line, one thing on their mind: need to get a good start. Here we see Chris Borge coming through now in that number 5 spot, followed closely by the sneaky snake, Jared McClure there in 6th. Then just behind him looks to be that is Brandon Owens. And here we see, again, jumping ahead a little further, Ronnie Rush still out there making tracks and making dust. And you can see right now, Ronnie Rush, a very fast rider, a former XC2 champion, but the fact that he is pulled away from Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal just speaks volumes about visibility today. And right now, there's one guy on track with clear vision, and it's the 714 of Ronnie Rush.
But that's not going to last all race either. As soon as these guys start catching up into lap riders, it's really going to throw a wrench into the plan, Johnny. Now, with mud, we talk about the pre-race prep, right, between the machine, the goggles, the riders themselves. What are they able to do here in the dust besides just, hey, I got to get a start?
Well, as far as prep goes, the machines, a lot of guys will run like an extra pre-filter or an outerwear on their air filter. There's actually a product called the Silver Fox that a lot of guys run, and it's named after yours truly. We came up with it down in Florida, and it's a filter that goes over top of the air box that you can pull halfway through the race. You oil that. It stops a little bit extra filter, so that helps the machine breathe. Another thing is a lot of these guys will use baby oil or chapstick on their goggle foam to stop the dust from getting inside there. And, it's absolutely pivotal to be able to see and to keep your machine breathing. But one thing you really, Adam McGill actually is one rider. I didn't look and see if he had it on today, but I'm willing to bet you he's wearing a surgical mask. And he does that to keep the dust from getting into his lungs. It allows him to breathe better. And later in the race, if the dust settles down or if it gets clogged, he'll go ahead and pull that off. But all of the morning race riders, you guys heard him on the podium, a lot of just a lot of dust ingested, makes it harder to breathe, makes it harder to stay calm. So those are the things you can do.
That's not a lot, Johnny. I mean, as far as being able to survive in this stuff, because like we said, even just where we've been at all day on the finish line, that's an open section, and the dust has just kind of been stagnant through there. But we've had a pretty consistent breeze as well. I can't imagine actually underneath the canopy where the wind's not quite able to reach how thick the dust really is down in there. In terms of mechanical and physical prep for the dust, there are things you can do, but in my opinion, the single biggest thing you can do is mindset. You have to know going into it, everybody's in the same boat. I mean, it makes it hard to breathe. It makes it hard to see, especially when it's hot. It makes it feel that much hotter. That dust sticks to you. Obviously, as you understand, when you sweat, those pores, that's how you cool down. When there's dust stuck, it kind of dries up quickly, and you just can't cool down as quickly. There's a lot of factors that come into play, but having a positive mindset and saying, hey, we're on the same boat here. Pre-race interviews, I'm sure we'll get to those. A lot of the guys saying, hey, I'm coming here today to get business done.
this is my new favorite track. I want to get to the front and get in a good start. We saw our usual suspects up front, and also out front right now is a not-so-usual suspect. We've seen him run in the top 5 a few times early this season, but first time we've seen him lead a race for any amount of time, and it's pretty exciting for him, and I'm sure his crew is just absolutely loving it right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What a time to do it for sure. Now, you talked about the mindset. As far as race strategy goes, as we see your leader on screen, Ronnie Rush still out front here at the 7-mile marker. Going to try to see exactly what that gap is back to what we believe will be Walker Fowler. But a second or third place start for Fowler or Neal, that's a good start for most races. But in conditions like this, what are these guys going to do here on lap 1? Are they trying to sprint as fast as they can to the front, or they say, hey, I need to kind of bide my time a little bit, play this smart so that I'm not just inhaling a ton of dust right off the rear wheel of somebody?
A little bit of both. I think it depends on the rider. Like you can see, as they're coming at us, it doesn't seem like there's too many vision issues, but when they start going away and the sun's at your face, that's when you can really see just how hard it is to see. Jackson, looks like you're kind of noticing something here.
I've been paying attention. That 4th place rider that we thought was Bryson Neal, that was not in that other camera shot. I'm not saying that was not him that passed by, but that was a 3-digit rider. Okay. I believe that was Brandon Owens that was in the 4th place position.
Well, there you go. We'll see when those guys check through. I do know that the rider, so there we see that looks to be Bryson Neal on screen that just checked in there. There was some dust ahead of him, so not our leader. This is from our live drone shot here out at the power line. What the morning racers were saying is, hey, there's only one place on the track where the dust is even really moving, and that is the power line, because obviously the breeze. We talked about it. Guys, you were here yesterday. It was windy, windy, windy. Man, when it starts to get dusty, all of a sudden the wind just dies out. Now we see Jared McClure on screen. The sneaky snake may have actually made up a position there from when we saw him last. But look at that. As they hit those berms, poof, plumes of dust come up, and kept hearing it over there. There is actually... That is Bryson Neal. Wow. So look at that. Okay. Look at Eagle Eye, Jackson.
I've been losing my mind over here. I knew that wasn't Bryson Neal coming through.
I'll be honest with you. That was my bad there. Here comes Chris Ford. So it's actually Bryson Neal back in the 5th or 6th place spot now. So Brandon Owens ahead of him. So we do think that is now Brandon Owens in the 4th place spot. John Glaude there. We do know that is him in 3rd. Another 3-digit Phoenix rider. And then we see Hunter Hart coming through. Another rider buried back in the pack at this point. Hunter Hart is one rider that I think really keep an eye on today. All these guys ride well, but Hunter is one of those guys, I'll just say it, frankly, willing to throw caution to the wind, really charge through the dust where he can't see. Keep in mind, for a guy like Walker Fowler, a guy like Bryson Neal, some of these guys that are really kind of in the thick of a championship hunt, they're going to want to go for it, but this kind of speaks back to your question of how many guys are going to send it, how many guys are going to kind of take their time. There we see Stephen Harrell coming through now on screen at the 7-mile marker. A lot depends on their mindset and what's on the line. If you're a Walker Fowler, you're a Bryson Neal, you need to max points today. If you're Hunter Hart, you're going to throw caution to the wind. You want to go to the front. You want to make up as many points to put yourself in the battle for a podium or an overall. So some of these guys have a little more to lose on a day like today. You may see them, especially early, riding a little bit more cautiously. One guy that we know is not riding cautiously, the 714 of Ronnie Rush. He's out front. He's got clear trail, and he's saying, hey, this is my shot to show these guys what I'm capable of, and doing a phenomenal job of it. Here is your XC2 leader. He also, the rider that got the whole shot, 259, Kenny Schick, running up in a podium position, but he does have heavy pressure from behind. One rider I know I can say definitively will be willing to push it through the dust. That was the rider of Braxton Gross. West Coast Works rider. To him, this isn't even dusty. This is a clear day.
He's laughing. He said, I'm not even worried about it. I'm actually very excited to see what John Glaude Jr. is able to do with that good of a start, especially with the conditions on hand. We saw a lot of speed from John towards the tail end of last year, and he's had some flashes throughout the 2024 season, so this might just be the nice little boost, right? You find yourself in the right spot. Maybe it's a little bit easier to find that pace once again, so it could be a big one for Glaude, but yeah, how about it? A huge shakeup as Bryson Neal's kind of further back. We talked about a lot of emotions probably coming into this round between the mishaps for Hunter Hart and Bryson Neal. Obviously, the all-time high there for Wyatt Wilkin. I'm still laughing about the podium celebrations at the last race. Poor Mark Notman. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of different feelings and emotions coming into the race with a lot of riders with something to prove.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many emotions, so many things going on there coming into today. I think what we're likely to see, and this is obvious speculation, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we're going to see Bryson Neal really show some maturity today. Obviously, sitting back, and we think he's in about that 6th place spot. Not ideal, but knowing he has a 26-point lead over Walker Fowler, who's just a couple positions ahead of him, I think we're going to see him kind of try to pick off riders one at a time. the dust is part of it, but also it's that maturity that Bryson has that he didn't have a few years ago. He's got a few of these championships under his belt now. Obviously, for many, many years, a multi-time race winner, but just didn't quite have the whole package put together for a season. I think Bryson now has that, so I don't anticipate him going out and doing anything crazy today, costing himself, just giving away points. I think he's going to methodically try to work his way up, but I kind of feel like he's going to be wanting to know, where's that 723 at? Is he to the front yet? Is he, how many positions is he in front of me? Where are we at with these points? Because ultimately he wants to try to minimize any points lost today. His goal surely will be to get to the front and win the race, but if that's not possible, you kind of methodically work your way up and you think, okay, there's another couple points. There's another couple points, and I feel like that's what we're going to see him do throughout the day today.
Now, I'm pretty curious to see when they come across the timing and scoring for the first time. We talked about, some of these riders counting and timing the start, whether or not that's going to be applied. Obviously, there is a penalty there if you jump the gate, but Jackson and I were standing side by side watching it in person. We couldn't quite see the number plates as they jumped, so we don't know who, if anyone, is going to be penalized, but that could be a whole nother shakeup once they check in for the first lap completed.
One thing I can tell you standing there, 2 riders started early. I don't know who those 2 riders were. I do know they were more to the outside where I was standing. I was pretty much right behind Walker and Bryson, and I could hear the riders. They were further to my right that started early. One of the 2 of them started and shut their bike off almost immediately. The other one let it idle a while and then shut it off. So if they were picked out, they will be pulled to the side and assessed somewhere between a 15-second penalty, 30, maybe even more if they're deemed to gain that much of an advantage, depending on where they physically started the race. But again, we talked about it before. You cannot self-penalize just because you shut the bike off and take off last or towards the back of the pack. Doesn't matter. You're still going to be penalized. Those are the rules. We'll leave that to the rules, folks. We'll leave that to the track officials. We're just in here calling the action. But as you pointed out, we will keep a very close eye on that scoring tent when they come through, expecting possibly 1, maybe even 2 riders to be penalized.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see for sure. You can barely see the FMF banners here at the FMF PowerPoint, but out front, Ronnie Rush continuing to lead the way. We talked about Ronnie's season so far. He's had some flashes of brilliance. He shows he's got the speed. We were actually able to catch up with Ronnie a little bit earlier and talk to him about his 2024 season.
Doing pretty good, just got done biking the track, checking it out. It's gonna be a duster. So yeah, just got my Sahara Moose gear vented up, ready for the heat, just drinking fluids, and we're gonna go out there and give it our all. I started the year just wanting to get a feel for that top 10. I had a little bit of a slower first 2 years in this class, and just trying to figure it out. It's a completely different ball game. So yeah, we've been dialing the bike in, trying some new parts, and we really like where we're at right now. We seem to be floating around that inside that top 10 a lot more this year. So yeah, just we can find a little bit more luck out there on the track. Had some kind of catastrophic issues on the bike this year, but we're working the bugs out, and we're really happy where we are. Got a lot of speed this year, and finally dialing this program in, so hopefully we could display it today.
Well, he is displaying it right now, and look at on display. Was that some mud fleas that I saw hanging? Some dust fleas, maybe?
On screen right there. There is Ronnie Rush out front, and he's coming to that rock garden at the 10-mile marker that we just got the shot of. But right now, clear trail out front. Walker Fowler taking a look over and saying, man, look at this little guy go. Second year in third year, I believe, in the XC1 Pro class after winning that championship back in maybe 2021, I think it was. And here he is, really getting work done and out front coming into the 10-mile marker. This is our rock garden, and watch the dust just kick up through this section. Ronnie Rush on rails, and the crowd is going crazy.
Now, something I was going to ask Johnny, is he aiming for some pillows of dust? Is he maybe throwing a foot off here, there, kicking a powder berm or anything like that? Is there any kind of that kind of play in these conditions?
Nobody would ever do anything like that. Right. And by that, I mean absolutely. He is doing fishtails whenever he can that it's not affecting his forward progress. And, hey, man, it's part of racing. It's not dirty riding. It's just if you can, you do have to be careful with that, though. And one thing we talked about a little bit earlier, now we see our third place rider. That is John Glauda Jr. there in the number 3 spot. You got to be careful when you start blowing out those dust berms, trying to get an advantage and slow down the guys behind you. You don't want to kick up too much dust because a lot of that goes right into your own air filter. Wouldn't be surprised with the conditions today if we see some guys coming in and getting themselves a fresh air filter partways through this race. You can see the vision just absolutely minimal. Folks, if you're watching from home, if you're here at the track, please stay clear of the edges of the racetrack. Visibility at a minimum today. Now we see it looks like Jared McClure has maybe maybe gotten around Brandon Owens, unless we did toggle camera shots there. We don't want to alert any Brandon Owens fans, but looks like Jared McClure may be up to the 4th place spot, at least what we're seeing on screen. 1 mile further down the track, still out front, the 714 of Ronnie Rush, making his way downtown, baby. He's heading for what will be a green flag waving. Ricky Towery standing there. Walker Fowler looks a little bit closer in this section, but this is going to be the tail of the tape. We're down just to a few hundred yards before we're going to find out, are any of these riders, or are they a little further back, the ones that may or may not be penalized based off starting early?
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with the Sneaky Snake. He's slithering his way to the front right now. It seems like every time we see him, he's picked up a position. Here's another one of those little more wide open sections. If you're Walker Fowler, probably a good opportunity to kind of mark where the lead is at. Looks like Rush has actually stretched it out just a little bit once again. Kind of that
look at that dust hanging back there, guys. I mean, it's just so hard to see. You know, he's right now just, whoa, getting a little rowdy through there. Rippin' Ronnie, that was his nickname back in the day when he was on Youth Machines. Rippin' Ronnie out front and ripping. This guy right here, adrenaline high right now. You see nearly the entire pro pits cheering for him as he comes through there. Everybody's happy to see a guy out front leading his, you know, what I believe to be for any length of time his first lead here, overall wise, in a GNCC.
I think that was one of the big takeaways from Wyatt Wilkins' first win just a few weeks ago was the ATV family here is excited to celebrate with one another. I mean, obviously they're competitors at heart, but like you said, the whole pit's there cheering for Ronnie Rush. He takes a little look over the shoulder, and Ronnie Rush going to have a lap led in the books.
Let me tell you what I don't see. I don't see, actually, there goes Jeremy Holbert running across the track. I believe that may be in search of the rider that he plans to pull aside. He grabbed a yellow flag, so it's a rider further back, or could it be? We'll watch each rider that comes through and see who Jeremy determines. He's letting Walker Fowler go through. He's let Ronnie Rush go through. He is awaiting a rider to pull off, and he will have a clock counting. Who will that rider be? Who is it that started early? You can see him there waiting, lurking, keeping eyes. The next rider through will be John Glaude Jr.
Now we'll wait and see. That black flag is in hand. Like you said, the penalty to be determined.
The next rider, that is still Brandon Owens there in the number 4 spot. So we did miss him on the camera toggle. That's what we were talking about. Jeremy Holbert waiting, watching. This is like watching drama unfold, because we do know, again, if you were down at the start, there's no question riders did start early. I actually see that's Hannah Hunter standing with Jeremy Holbert, who is Stephen Harrell's girlfriend. Not making speculations, but is it possible? You see her shrugging her shoulders, curious if maybe, so it's not Jared McClure. He's through. The next rider through will be Bryson Neal, the number 1, sitting back in what should be, as we refresh timing and scoring, the 6th place spot. Jeremy Holbert not making moves, so Bryson Neal is through and gone out to the start of lap number 2. Who's it going to be, guys? I feel like we're watching the Powerball here.
I don't know. I'm trying to think here. I mean, I think it'd be hard not to argue with Hannah standing right there that possibly Harrell.
Well, she walked away.
Yeah. So
I was told. And again, I did not see this rider, but I was told that it may have been Wyatt Wilkins who potentially bumped his button, but his bike never started. But there was at least 2. So I don't. Again, second-hand information. That's not coming from me. Someone said, but I also was told that Wyatt's bike didn't ever start, and they had to. He was the last rider off the line. So again, hearsay. Next rider through, Chris Borich. Still looking like Jeremy Holbert not making a move. So we'll see.
Yeah, to your point, I know they said Wyatt was the last one off of that XC1 line. So we saw that before. Liam Draper, I believe it was, that bumped, got the Yamaha fired up early. He cut it off, was last off the line, but still wound up having to pay that penalty. Here we see McGill checks in.
And then Hunter Hart will be in the number 8 and number 9 spots. Again, those guys through and clear. Now we're ahead to the 1 mile marker. Walker Fowler in a little bit of dust. We'll assume that is the dust of the 714 machine. Ronnie Rush out front on that Bulletproof Doors sponsored machine. His dad, Ron Rush, Big Ron, a former GNCC and ATV racer himself. Ronnie coming up through the youth ranks, and right now leading his first, not his first XC1 race, but the first time leading an overall here at GNCC. John Glaude Jr. there in 3rd, and in 4th place it's still Brandon Owens on that Sturdivant racing machine, a local West. Brandon, I never know if he's actually from West Virginia, Ohio. He lives right on the line. We'd have to look him up and see, I guess. But I do know spends a lot of time racing in West Virginia. And the Sturdivant boys, local West Virginia products, not too far from here, from Elkins, West Virginia. And they got a lot of fans out in the woods here today. Then it's the Cobra, the sneaky snake, Jared McClure.
Really off camber right there as well. The camera doesn't quite do it justice, and you can see, we talked about those rocks and the square edge bumps. Riders, even more so than normal, seem to be getting tossed side to side a lot. There you see Bryson Neal.
And I believe he's been able to close up a little bit of that gap.
So he has worked his way up. He is still sitting in the number 6 spot. He was 11 seconds behind Jared McClure. We see a little closer than that there, Jackson, on camera. Like you said, he's closed up that gap a little bit, but getting to him in conditions like this is one thing. Being able to stay there, see, and make a pass, Bryson Neal's got his work cut out for him, but if there's anybody up to the task, the Bidwell Bullet has been on point throughout 2024.
Now, Walker Fowler, no rumors, no speculation coming into this race. Actually, I did have somebody ask me because he was almost late to rider introductions. Is Walker Fowler not racing? No, Walker's out there. He's racing. But probably, and maybe you could speak to this, Johnny, maybe not quite at 100% still yet. Obviously, he had a great performance and kind of a last-second decision to race. Sure. But he talked about recovering there from a dual hernia surgery, I believe, over the summer break. That is quite the operation to come back from. Where do you think Walker Fowler's at physically? And then he knows he's in front of the number 1 right now, so maybe not quite as much of a sense of urgency to get around Ronnie Rush at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I speak with Walker a lot, and to be honest with you, I know here's McGill on screen. I do know that the original intention was always to come back and race this. Here we see Ronnie Rush on screen. We'll give this man some love since he's out front leading 2 miles into lap number 2 at the FMF Power. Actually, we toggled from the FMF PowerPoint, and he is still shredding, still holding a comfortable lead at this point over Walker Fowler. You could talk about dust, but the bottom line is this guy's still got to set a pace out front that he makes Walker Fowler and the rest behind him uncomfortable chasing with limited visibility, and he's doing a great job of that so far, leading the way. Again, yeah, I think Walker's plan was always to be back for this race. I think the original plan was to come back for round 10 2 weeks ago, and then as it came closer, just not having the seat time, that came into question, and then kind of the second chance there with that rain delay and deciding, hey, but I will point out, very different conditions today. Obviously, on a course like we saw 2 weeks ago, physical fitness not as much of a factor. It really was just kind of get out there, hit your lines, don't make mistakes, and Walker did a great job to come home in that second place position. Today, I do believe this course is going to tax these guys physically. I do know at one point, we'll see if OPAG has the interview, but I believe Walker Fowler had made some comments about just how ready he was for this one, and we'll fit that in at some point during the show. But it's, if we see Bryson Neal now really starting to put the pressure on Jared McClure, this is where we start seeing, Bryson Neal stirring. I'm sure he came through the pits, saw scoring, figured out what position he was in, and he's starting to do math in his head. And right now the math for him is me plus the throttle equals going forward, and that's what it looks like he's trying to do.
He has a good points lead, but nonetheless, Bryson does not want to get a 6th place, a 5th place here today. He wants to be up at least on the podium, I'd have to imagine, but the spot he wants is that big number 1 spot at the front of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, max points is the quickest way to a championship. We pay 30 points for an overall win here at GNCC. Right now, sitting back in that 6th place spot, that would be, I believe that would be 15 points that he would earn here today. That's that would be 15 points that he would earn, whereas Walker Fowler sitting in the 2nd place spot. If they finished right now, checkered flag come out, he would make up 10 points on Bryson Neal, and with only a 26-point gap, suddenly that becomes 16, and now we're getting into a horse race.
And Bryson Neal's mentality has to be changing. He was thinking Walker Fowler wasn't even going to be in the last race, so therefore that changes the points drastically. Then he comes into it. Not only does he come into it, he gets a 2nd place there.
Well, and Bryson Neal has bad luck, right? He has something go wrong once again, the same section of track from the year before. Definitely lady luck not on his side on that property, at least the last 2 years. But like you said, the sense of urgency's got to be there. And Bryson, always cool, calm, and collected, a professional on the microphone in the interviews and stuff like that. But the sense of urgency and hey, I've got an actual title fight on my hands, definitely got to be creeping into the mind of the number 1.
I think Bryson Neal's very mentally strong right now. Obviously a big hit that he took 2 weeks ago in the points, but at the same time, there we see our 4th place rider now coming through, and that is still Brandon Owens. John Glauder Jr. through the number 712 on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha. They're in 3rd. Give those guys some love. But Bryson Neal, I think his confidence right now will go a long way to carrying him to making good decisions, like we talked about, methodically working his way up through. But at the same time, it's easy for these guys to kind of get into that, mentality of, bad luck, curse kind of a thing. And I can tell you, Bryson made reference, he told us the spot that he broke down in 2 weeks ago was virtually within inches of where his machine failed him last year. So I don't really know Bryson's juju from this track. I know he's won here a few times. I do know many years ago he broke a spindle and had a DNF here, but you got to wonder, what are his vibes coming in? Is this a place where he's like, hey, for sure I'm going to win this thing. I love this place. Or, does it start creeping into your mind? Like, oh man, I hope that thing that happened a couple years ago doesn't happen again. I think he's very strong mentally, but when you're against the ropes, things start to weigh a little more. They get a little heavier.
Without a doubt. Taking a look now, more riders making their way through the finish line. And we flash back. Looks like taking a look here. So Bryson Neal, not the start that he was looking for, but he is pushing his way through the pack. And we were able to catch up with Bryson Neal a little bit earlier.
Just like my interview I gave first race of this year, every race it sets the tone for the year, and you can't get these races back. We get 13 races or 13 weekends a year, and there's 52 weekends in a year, and there's 13 ones that matter that you have to finish. That bike has to cross the finish line, and that's the special and the hard thing about GNCC racing is, we're in the mud last weekend. We're in the dust this weekend in the rocks. Polar opposite things where there's so many different factors, there's so many different conditions, so many different things that you as a rider, you got to not only take care of your body and practicing at home, try to be safe at your local races. There's just so much that goes into completing a full year and looking back on it and saying that I got the better of it. So, because it's tough sometimes with the racing, and it can humble you real quick. And just when you think you got it all figured out, racing, there's always something to sneak up and grab you and bite you and humble you and bring you back down a little notch.
Well, I tell you, the thing that was sneaking up on Bryson, even in that interview, did you see the cloud of dust that went behind him? I mean, like we said, all day long, this has been a topic of discussion, and all of these riders, long before they went in the starting line, knew exactly what they were going to have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could see we had campers and signage and people behind him, and when those bikes would come by, it was gone. It was just Bryson, majestically standing in the haze, which is cool for a camera shot. Not so cool when you're trying to make up time and track down riders in front of you. I think the dust is going to be the story today for a lot of these guys trying to work their way up through, but getting a good start was key. We actually at one point, Jackson and I were discussing off camera, I think we're going to see if OPAG can go back and review this start. We all said it was Bryson there in third, but now we're a little bit confused about which gear he was wearing. Was that Bryson in third, or was that actually either Brandon Owens or John Glauda Jr. there in third? So we'll have him. Oh, look at this. We got some riders in the pits. That's Wyatt Wilkin in the pits, your last race winner, and you can see some steam coming off that machine. Something amiss there with the 621, and that is a heartbreaker for Wyatt Wilkin. Here's the thing, guys. He has already come through the finish line, and now he's back over to the pits. So when Jackson, so just to kind of fill folks in, they're not aware of the track layout here, he is backwards on the track. He hasn't done anything wrong, but he had to double back to go to the pits to try to address whatever the issue is with that machine. I think we're going to have Zach Herron head down and see if he can get a word with Wyatt or his crew to find out what's going on. We'll let him see if they can make repairs, because he's ultimately going to try to salvage some points on the day. But nonetheless, a big blow for last race winner Wyatt Wilkin, currently in the pits, addressing the machine, trying to figure out what's going on. You can see a lot of kind of bewildered looks. They're looking up into the machine. We saw some smoke or steam coming off the back. We see his mechanic, Matt Pierce, now in there. Jackson, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but we do know not a good place you want to be for a rider who 2 weeks ago was standing atop the middle of the podium.
Yeah, no doubt. That just summarizes racing up for you there. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows. That's exactly what Bryson Neal was just talking about. So we'll see. Is he going to be able to get that machine fired back up? Hopefully so. That would be a tough break here for Wyatt Wilkin, your last race winner to go out like this here on lap number 2.
I believe we actually have our producer, Adam Gordon, has the start replay queued up. And what we're going to get from here is we've been saying that Bryson Neal was third into the woods, but now we see him back in that 6th place position. We're going to watch. Did we see that wrong, or was it? No, it is Bryson Neal right there. That is definitely Bryson in the number 3 spot. So at some point after these first couple of turns here, you see John Glaude up there in 4th, then it's Brandon Owens. The guys are pretty much in the same running order, but 100%, Jackson, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Bryson Neal there in the number 3 spot. Then the next time we see him back in 6th. Everybody else virtually in the same order. Something amiss on that first lap. You got to wonder, pushing it too hard in the dust, trying to make a pass. Did he make a mistake? It's just hard to guess, but we do know they dropped from 3rd to 6th there, somewhere in the early miles of lap number 1.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to be doing if you're Bryson Neal. We talked about he needed to start chipping off and working his way up. Now he's been working his way down so far in this one, so he's going to have some ground to make up. Seeing Wyatt Wilkin on screen there. There he goes, Johnny. So he's going to be headed back out onto the course. That's a good thing for the 621.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's probably not over the moon pumped right now. Obviously was, not exactly where he wanted to be on lap number 1. He was all the way back in that 12th place position. But he is back out there having an opportunity to make up some points.
So now we wait.
I believe we actually also, Jackson, we have a word with Walker Fowler from before the race, talking a little bit about, we had talked about his preparation coming into today and where he was at after an unexpected entry just 2 weeks ago. I believe we have an interview with him here now.
Yeah, and it worked out really good. It brought us, a very snowball's chance in hell to get back in the championship, but it is, back on the table regardless. So I just got to not do anything dumb. I tried to get as much accomplished as I could in 2 weeks. My hands are in a lot better shape, just, not calloused up before the last one. I knew if it was going to be 90 degrees hot, rough race, that my hands would have never finished. But in 2 weeks, I got that around, and a lot of cardio, weightlifting with the hernia surgery. I'm still kind of struggling a little bit with the weightlifting side of it, but I'm definitely stronger. I can ride the machine the way it needs to be rode for the length of time that I need to do it. At full race pace with these guys, we'll see. I'm sure that last lap I'm still going to be feeling it, but I'm leaps and bounds better in 2 weeks than where I was. Going to go out, have a good time. The start's going to be crucial. I hope the line judges are there paying attention. We've all kind of been talking that the odds of someone taking the gamble and trying to maybe jump the start and get out front might outweigh the penalty, just because it's so dusty you're not going to be able to see. So hopefully everyone races fair, and it's just a good time out here in West Virginia.
Well, Mikey, there you go. Walker Fowler, and we talked about it. Previous interviews, almost all of them mentioning somebody taking the gamble, starting early. We did finally get the word, I believe.
Stephen Harrell got confirmation on that. Ended up being held for 15 seconds at the finish. Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong. There's basically 2 ways they can do that. It's either a 15 or a 30 second. No, is that right?
It's up to promoter discretion. Okay. 15 seconds. Generally, the kind of benchmark is 15 seconds. If you start the bike, shut it off, and then start. Kind of don't get a great start. Okay. But if they feel you've gained an advantage, they can penalize you as much as they need to neutralize that advantage. Okay. So if you pull the whole shot on a dusty day and you're 2 minutes out front, they're not just going to penalize you 30 seconds. Yeah. They're going to penalize you back and put you back in the pack, to neutralize that advantage. But Ronnie Rush did not start early, but the advantage is there. But Walker Fowler starting to stir back there a little closer than we saw him a lap ago here at the 7-mile marker. Part of that likely starting to get used to a little bit of, the track, realizing where he's at, and he's starting to push the pace a little bit, seeing an opportunity maybe to get out front and have some clear track. But that advantage is going to start to go away for whoever's out front, because pretty soon here we're going to start seeing these guys encounter lapped riders.
Yeah, probably sooner rather than later. But you got to be stoked for Ronnie Rush at this point. And we haven't talked about it too much. John Glaude having a solid start as well. He was another guy. I talked to him prior to the race, and it was, hey, John, season hasn't really gone the way we expected it to go for you. And I'm sure from your own perspective, self-assessment, you feel the same way. He said, yeah, absolutely. It's been an up and down year, more downs than ups.
The Bidwell bullet.
Yes, on cue, Bryson Neal right there. But, Glaude, good to see him having some success early in this one. And sounds like Zach Heron made it down to ATV Pro Row and standing by in Wyatt Wilkins' pit.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm down here with Shark from the Wyatt Wilkins pit. Take us through exactly what happened. It's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Take us through. You got him back out there, so what's going on?
This race here will get you. You're cross country and you never know what it's going to throw. He pulled in, he was leaking oil. Mike said throw some blood, so everybody, you want a good oil, you run blood, and he said go for it. So that's what we're doing today.
That is not planned product placement here, folks. That was all right off the cuff. I'd love to see it. Wyatt Wilkins back out on track.
One thing, and Zach Heron, if you can hear us down there, is Wyatt Wilkins' dad's nickname, or is he now going by Shark? Can you confirm that?
All right, you heard him. What is the official name here?
They call me Shark 7 up here, so we'll go with that one. We're good.
That's the official title from now on out, folks.
Shark with the blood down in the pits.
Shark, and then blood in the water.
Yeah,
Shark.
that was
the Shark.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Sharks, I love it. I'm here for it. We love nicknames. That's what it's all about. Ronnie Rush doing his thing out in front. Another wild day at a GNCC. Hey, we had rain a couple of weeks ago, made for a wild finish. We've got nothing but dust here today. Ronnie Rush, a perfect start, grabbed the whole shot. He has had the lead this entire race, but there, lurking like a shark, pun intended.
Mikey, watch this right here. You want to talk about a hairy moment? Almost off the bike, almost into Bryson Neal's trailer. Hey, it's been a bad year to be a Bryson Neal vehicle, but Ronnie Rush gathers it up and holds on to it, gets it across the pro pits, and leads his way through one lap of GNCC racing. We'll be back with more action right after this.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. The Mountaineer GNCC, Rocky Mountain ATV MC, Mountaineer GNCC, round number 11. Been a race so far. We've got Ronnie Rush leading it out in front. This race, though, this week, it is all about saluting our first responders. We know why that is. Back in 2001, we had September 11th change the landscape of our countries, change the landscape, honestly, of the entire world. And it's something, I think we all know someone at least that serves in the military or served, or we at least know a first responder. And it's something I know. I've got a brother-in-law that served in Vietnam, and he has thanked I shouldn't say me, us as a sport for us taking this very seriously, the way that we have our Moto Hero Award that we give out every week. Well, this week we go a little bit more above and beyond. We recognize those first responders at every single start with a challenge coin. Very cool. And another thing we take serious is our own first responders. And our very own Zach Herron had a chance to check out our medical mule that is there to service any kind of injured riders.
If you've been around the GNCC racing circuit, you may have seen this machine crossing the track or making its way through the pits. This is the Kurt Caselli Safety Unit. The Kurt Caselli Foundation was founded after the legendary off-road racer tragically passed away in 2013. But the goal of the foundation is simple: to provide top-notch medical equipment and safety to the off-road racing community. Now, we've been lucky enough to have this brand new Polaris side-by-side given to the GNCC Racing Nation, and it has been equipped with equipment to help not only help riders get off the track quicker, but get them to safety, the SOS medical crew, as quickly as possible. We're extremely fortunate to be able to partner with the Kurt Caselli Foundation year after year, and if you guys are interested in learning more information or donating yourself, you can go to kurtcaselli.com and make your donation.
Such a cool thing there. Good to have the Kurt Caselli Foundation here on board with GNCC. And on screen, we're seeing your second place once again, Mr. Walker Fowler.
Was that me, or did Walker Fowler look like he was charging through the dust pretty hot and heavy there?
He sure did.
Looking like he was getting real close. I think what he may be calculating is this the lap that Ronnie Rush is going to stop, get himself some fuel, get himself maybe some fresh goggles, and can he snag the lead? Pit strategy will loom large here today. Now it's the 712 of John Glauda Jr. here in the number 3 spot, still looking smooth as you can look on those rocks. He's a big guy. He just kind of absorbs them. The next rider we should be looking for, and here he comes, is his teammate. Back a camera shot. There's John Glauda Jr. again, just a little further down the trail. The big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet up into the number 4 spot. There he goes by. Next, we think, will be the number 9 of the Sneaky Stake, Jared McClure. There is Bryson and another rider, again, just like Walker Fowler. Oh, actually, sorry, he has gotten around Brandon Owens, so he was in 5th. Now he is up to 4th, and pursuing that podium position is Bryson Neal. He's made 2 passes this lap already, displacing Jared McClure earlier in the lap, and now getting around Brandon Owens, taking over that number 4 spot, Jackson.
And this is what we expected for him. We were saying at the beginning he needed to start clicking off some passes. Now he's doing just that. About 55 minutes into this race, still plenty of time left for Bryson Neal.
Yeah, and as we look at our race clock there with 55 minutes complete, or nearly 55 minutes by the time these riders get through, I think we don't make these calls. We likely will see a 2-lap card, meaning 4 laps of racing here today at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. And I think when it's all said and done, these guys will say, yep, 4 laps, that was enough. We're pretty good with that.
Out there sucking dust. I love that. You know what? We've seen this now. We saw that at the Buckwheat 100 where we had, and before people roast me in the comments, I'm not saying it's like Howard's Hole or Ironman Hill, but we've had these big crowds at certain sections the last couple of rounds, and I love to see it. They changed that up a little bit.
Well,
Ronnie, Ronnie changed it up a little bit for himself.
He took it a lot easier. It looks like he is coming in for some fuel. He's in that GBC Tires pit stop area, and we see some of our media crew there. They're actually spraying out the radiator, getting that fuel, and here comes the 723 of Walker Fowler. Ronnie Rush is in and gone, so he will not be able to make the pass, looking like he is also going to stop, get himself freshened up, taking some fresh Scott goggles off the can there, putting them on himself. Mark Notman passing some knowledge along, looking like it's going to be a gas and go with a little water bottle hanging there for the 723 of Walker Fowler.
It's good. Business as usual in and out for Fowler. Goes back to work. And, boy, we're knocking on the door here now, the halfway point, expecting it to be anyways.
Ronnie Rush taking a look over his shoulder there. You know, he has to be a happy man as he checks off another lap in the lead.
Yeah, what a day to get a good start. I mean, Ronnie Rush making the most of it for sure. getting a start on a day like today never guarantees a win. You got some real sharks in the water. We know we got some sharks in the pits, but we also got some sharks in the water. Bryson Neal lurking back there. Walker Fowler working back. The entire XC1 class, honestly, bad dudes back there. But Ronnie Rush right now saying, hey, I'm not worried about you guys. I got clear track in front of me, and I'm going to make the most of it. Now we see our third place rider on screen, John Glauda Jr., coming through there. We do not see a two-lap card. Maybe we'll just wait and go straight to a white flag. Again, we don't make those calls. Right. That's up to our race director and race officials. Now we see the number 1 of Bryson Neal. Switching camera shots. Ronnie Rush out front, looking smooth, really.
All over that machine.
Oh, and the dust behind him. And there's a slight breeze, but it kind of lingers here today.
And the tree foliage is so thick here, it's so hard for the wind to make its way through. So there goes Walker Fowler making his way through.
I'll tell you, one thing I noticed there, Brandon Owens was really right back to the rear wheels of Bryson Neal. Perhaps Bryson Neal pitting and Brandon Owens not, but it was interesting because he had a pretty good gap on him there at the 11-mile marker, and in that last camera shot, he was right back to him. But again, Bryson Neal still also within striking distance of the 712 of John Glauda Jr., who we do see on camera now here at the 1-mile marker.
And taking a look at timing and scoring there on lap number 2, Walker Fowler, after everything was said and done, only able to gain 2 seconds. So 14 seconds still going to be separating Rush and Fowler.
There you go. So it's looking like...
Did get word that it's going to be a 4-lap race. So they should be expecting the white flag next time around.
Yeah, but see, that can be confusing for the riders themselves. Likely their crew will tell them, but I'm sure a lot of those guys, and keep in mind, folks, that 2-lap card is a courtesy. It is not required. A lot of times when they're on the fence about just how long the race needs to go, 2 laps in, they can't calculate exactly to, there are time constraints that the race is set to hit. If they're anywhere close, a lot of times they'll wait and just throw white, and the white actually also is a courtesy flag, not required. So here we see Ronnie Rush on screen. Got to wonder, does he know? Look at him taking a look over his shoulder, want to know where that 723 of Fowler is at, and there he is. He probably couldn't see him there, but he is pretty close back there. We see some information being passed along to Walker via one of his pit boards there, and you got to wonder, do these guys know that they're working their way towards a white flag, or do they think that there's still going to be 2 more laps of racing? That can weigh heavy on your mind. You're out there, especially conditions like this. If you're Ronnie Rush, you would be perfectly fine with them throwing a checkered flag the next time you come through. You'd be like, 3-lap race? Yep, sounds good. Let's do that. If you're Walker Fowler, obviously you probably want some more time. If you're Bryson Neal, you definitely want some more time. You want to gain as many points as you can, and right now he is getting ever closer to the 712 of John Glauda Jr. So again, that's kind of tale of 2 cities there. Some of these guys really hoping this thing is over sooner than later, and then some of these guys really wanting it to go as long as it can.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Ronnie Rush obviously doing everything he needs to right now to put himself in a position to win. Do you think, Johnny, as these guys, the rest of the XC1 outs, not named Bryson Neal, not named Walker Fowler, look at this season and they see, hey, Josh Merritt got one, Wyatt Wilkin just got one. Does it kind of give some of the other guys that confidence of, I want to be that guy, I can be that guy, I just got to come out and have a day like Ronnie Rush is having to this point?
Absolutely. I mean, when you have 2 first-time winners in a season, especially on the ATV side of GNCC racing, it is so hard to get even a win. To see, guys like Josh Merritt, Wyatt Wilkin, definitely can't say seemingly coming out of nowhere, but each of those guys getting a win within less than a year of their first podium. So getting a podium and less than a calendar year later, in Wyatt's case, much less. It was just a few months later grabbing his first win. So it's one of those things, confidence begats results, and we've seen a lot of that. So if you're Ronnie Rush, I mean, a win today, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's life-changing, really, for a guy like him who's chased GNCC racing from the youth ranks up through the amateur ranks. We talked about it. Winning an XC2 Pro-Am title a few years ago, getting up in this position, I mean, literally life-changing for a guy like him. But even just to kind of be in the mix with these guys this deep in the race, these guys aren't going to let up. Not expecting Ronnie to give it to him, but they're definitely going to make him work for it. He's got a lot of motivation to try to make them work as hard as he can. He's going to want to hang on to this position tooth and nail all the way to the end.
Love to see it. Just that kind of diversity in race winners. It's good.
Another thing to shout out, we've talked about John Glauda Jr. as we do see Ronnie Rush on screen. A horrific wrist injury last year.
Very much.
Not just like, oh, he broke his wrist. I mean, if you saw the pictures online, I mean, oh, look at this. Walker Fowler is getting ever closer. That was not 12 seconds, which is what it was at the finish line. So Walker Fowler on a charge, trying to get up, maybe trying to put some pressure on Ronnie Rush. A lot easier when you're out front. You don't feel that pressure. You kind of hit your lines. Now we see a rider pulling out of the way. He must hear the 712 train of John Glauda Jr. coming through. He doesn't want any part of it. He's just going to sit off to the side. Probably not going to jump right back into the trail because the number 1 of Bryson Neal right behind him as well. Maybe he got a little razzing from those top 2 as they came through, because these are the first lap riders that these guys are encountering. It is still the 712 of John Glauda Jr. You got to wonder, how friendly is John Glauda Jr. going to be to this rider who's now made up some big time? Bryson Neal, obviously a teammate, but at the same time, John Glauda Jr. battling for a podium, his first of the year, again, after coming back from a rough wrist injury just about a year ago.
Yeah, so Glauda going to have his work cut out for him. If you're Ronnie Rush or John Glauda, it's like, if you're Rush, you're thinking, okay, the 723 is behind me. That's maybe one of the 2 guys I don't want behind me, chasing me down. And then Glauda, kind of same situation with Neal behind him. So that's the thing. Fowler, Neal sitting second, fourth, right? Neither one of those guys is hitting the panic button right now. It's dusty, it's dangerous, rough conditions, but these guys are not fazed by that.
No, and another rider not fazed, Brandon Owens, still sitting up there in that number 5 spot. His best run to date this year, moving up part ways through the year. Actually didn't even start off the season racing with us this year. Was sitting at home watching the races on Racer TV, the Sturdivant Motorsports, or Sturdivant Power Sports, I believe his group, getting together. 2 brothers, former GNCC racers. Their father, Don, also a GNCC longtime veteran. They've been around forever. They saw this kid, saw some talent, said, hey, we got a shop. We can build some pretty cool ATVs. We'd like to help you out. We'd like to see you back GNCC racing.
Very cool.
Coming out, winning the Hoosier GNCC in XC2, and then saying, let's give this whole XC1 thing a shot here, and working out well for him today here in the number 5 spot. So if you're at Elkins, West Virginia local, support Sturdivant Power Sports there, and get yourself out there. Support those guys that are supporting Brandon Owens.
And that has closed up right there. So Rush is about to have Fowler to deal with just behind him. Man, I'm very interested to see what Glauda does here. If he chooses to block off Neal when Neal's able to catch him, or if Glauda is going to try to latch on to Bryson Neal and try to let those 2 go to the front.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, John Glauda Jr. sitting in a podium position, knowing how hard it is to pass. I think he's going to be hard-pressed, but at the same time, a lot's going to depend on how he's feeling. Is he feeling like he's got the juice to keep pushing forward? He may not even look back and know it's Bryson Neal. He may just keep pushing. But if he's starting to feel a little, kind of the gravity of things come to him, it's been a while since he ran up here towards the front in a podium position. If he's starting to get tired, but you can see that gap is actually opened back up just a little bit. Again, the tail of, the dust. It opens up, it closes down. We got the accordion effect going on, and man, it's just so hard to see when you look back there. And again, notice the difference when you're going into the shade when the sun's at your back versus when the sun's in front of you. Big difference in visibility. Now we see Brandon Owens coming through again there in the number 5 spot, looking strong, little squirrely there, but getting her done. He's a rider that rides loose and fast and on the edge, and he makes it work for him. A lot of XC2 wins over the years, and now trying to get what I believe would be his first ever top 5 in the XC1 class here today. Looking solid. He's got a pretty big gap behind him at the moment.
Who knew silly season would be like this after the summer break? We'll take it.
Shout out to Jared McClure there, the Cobra, in the number 6 spot, hanging tough, not too far off the back of Brandon Owens, and looking solid, looking strong. A rider that we know, he's not scared of the rocks. He's from Casca, Pennsylvania, and this to him, this is like smooth dirt.
Yes. We'll take it. Yeah, good to see the Cobra out there doing well here today. McGill in that 7 spot, Borch 8th, 9th, Josh Merritt and Hunter Hart rounding out your top 10. Then you got Abney, Stephen Harrell, Jay Shadron. It was fun talking to Jay. I think he was more excited about this race than he was his comeback race a round ago, just because he said, I feel like there's some weight lifted off my shoulders at this point. That one I was nervous. I was very emotional about it, just to be back out there. And I think very realistic expectations for Jay on his behalf as well. He said, I feel like I could be a top 10 guy. He's knocking on the door of that right now.
Guys, as we take a run down through our top 20 as they have checked in with now 2 laps complete, and again about an hour and 5 minutes of racing in. Here we are, guys. The the rider on the move, obviously we know Bryson Neal, all the way up to that 4th place spot, starting to put pressure on John Glaude Jr. for that 3rd place spot. But really, throughout the rest of the top 20, very few changes. These riders and gaps have stayed almost the same, and I believe that really speaks to this dust and the visibility. We do have a new leader in that XC2 class. We'll give them a little bit of love. Braxton Gross out of Ramona, California, moving to the front position now with about a 21-second lead over our 2nd place rider of Tanner Walker, another rider very good in these conditions, very good in the rocks, was actually leading lap number 1, so not a huge gap, but we are still seeing that materialize. And then just behind them, Grayson Eller about 4 seconds back. So 3 riders still kind of in the mix. Also back there, Alex Tiemann, Kenny Schick, Dylan Walraven, Dalton Keys, but the top 14 riders, all XC1 riders.
What a day. What a difference a couple of weeks makes.
Heating up to be a good one here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer. Ronnie Rush going to be leading the way as you see him making his way down to his pit stop.
Yeah, business as usual down there for Ronnie Rush. Washing that machine off just a wee bit, getting some fuel.
Taking a look at Walker Fowler coming in for his stop. Man, like a NASCAR pit stop. It actually is just like a NASCAR pit stop. The IMS cans busted out. The riders ready to go to battle. Are we going to see Walker Fowler make his way up to Ronnie Rush? Going to have to wait and see. A dusty, dusty day here in West Virginia. No problem for these guys.
And there you see that was a good example of that gap we're seeing now between Ronnie Rush and Walker Fowler in the 2 spots. So we'll take a short commercial break as they buzz through the FMF PowerPoint. Ronnie Rush is leading this thing out in front. He has been leading it from the start. He grabbed that Canati Tires Whole Shot Award and has not looked back since then. But it is Walker Fowler in pursuit in that number 2 spot. How is it all going to shake down? We'll be right back in just a moment here on Racer TV.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Johnny Gallagher, we are looking at the points standing, and you are the unofficial points expert. I'll preface that by saying unofficial because there is no actual pressure on you, but you do always have this dialed, and I think that comes from being a pro rider yourself. You guys are always out there doing math, and right now, Bryson Neal, obviously the favorite. He has a very good points lead, but this is why we race. We talked about this in the pre-show. You have the scenario last race where B. Neal had a DNF with the mechanical. Walker Fowler gained a bunch of points, and we do have a championship race on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 26 points. It is a very comfortable gap.
Yeah.
It's near nearing a full race. We pay 30 points for an overall win here in GNCC racing. So Bryson Neal, has a very comfortable cushion, but at the same point, you don't want to rest on that. You want to at least maintain that, if not extend it if possible. As they run on track right now, Bryson sitting back in that number 4 spot would pay 18 points. He's put some heavy pressure on John Glauda Jr. They're trying to get those couple bonus points. That would bump him up to actually 21 points. So that is the difference there from 4th. And so our top 4 positions pay bonus points. Back from that, it's a 1-point drop back each point. So it's 30 points for a win, 25 for 2nd, 21 for 3rd, 18 for 4th, and then back from that, it's just a 1-point drop as we go back down through. So what you have to realize is, these guys, they're not counting points while they're racing, but they know what's on the line.
Yes.
They're racing for points without counting them. Bryson Neal just trying to get every position he can, already up to the number 4 spot. Wyatt Wilkin back into the GBC Tires pit stop area. This is not a pit stop, folks. This is a repair stop. Looking like they're really digging into that machine. We talked to the Shark earlier, and the Shark had said they thought they had a Zach, you were down there. Well, you tell us what exactly went on.
Oh, well, I'm telling you what, the Shark was fired up. They said that they were feeling good. They were happy to get him back out there. They had the blood lubricants ready. You can see it just sitting off to the side there, but it looks like possibly more damage has been done at this point. There you see him on screen. Who you don't see on screen right now is Wyatt Wilkin, and normally, short of our last round where we saw Adam McGill running to grab a tool in his trailer, looks like that might be it for Wyatt Wilkin.
They're pushing that machine backwards, looking like they're going to move it out of the race line there and move it off of the race course, put it back behind the tents there, and that may likely signal the end of the day for the 621 at Wyatt Wilkin. A heartbreaker coming off a win just 2 weeks ago. That said, can't take that win away, man. He's still got it done. This guy trying to get a win of his own out front. It's the 714 of Ronnie Rush, 7 miles in, making tracks and making dust, trying to open up a gap over this rider right here, the 723 of Fowler. He's getting close, but he just can't get to that point. Guys, when you're in this kind of dust, you need to get to within a bike length or two to be able to actually ride off of their helmet, so you don't have to be able to see the ground. That's a trick that you use. But Walker Fowler not yet close enough, and I think what we may see here is a battle brewing over the number 3 spot. Will it still be the 712 of John Glauda Jr., or will the number 1 of Bryson Neal been able to take over that position here at the 7-mile marker?
Johnny, talk about you've raced this course. Like we talked about it being sort of a traditional GNCC. This is a woods race. We don't have any major, huge open field sections, and that is B. Neal.
Up to the 3rd spot.
Up to 3. How hard is it to pass at this place, especially given the dusty conditions through the woods?
Honestly, a lot of passing opportunities here on a normal day. Just the way the track shapes up, it's pretty fast. There's not a lot of multi-lines, but there's several rock gardens and just places where, you can kind of put some pressure on a guy, maybe make them miss their line just by a fraction of an inch or so, and it can take away their drive. You can make the pass. But on a day like today, the hard part is staying close enough to someone to put the pressure on. Look at that. Brandon Owens now starting to put some pressure on John Glauda Jr. over that number 4 spot. He's actually gotten quite a bit closer than what we saw earlier in the lap. So Brandon Owens on a charge, but yeah, that's the hardest thing today. The course itself, some passing opportunities. I wouldn't say a ton, but there's definitely ample passing opportunities. But on a day like today, it doesn't matter what the course offers. It matters what your vision offers.
There we go. Makes sense. Back to the Wyatt Wilkins situation. A tough break for him. There's Jared McClure right there. We looked at the point standings. It is 1 point separating him and Merritt from that 3 spot, and I know both of those guys, that is like coveted. They want that heading into the offseason and into next year. For a minute, the number 2 spot was on the table, and then, Walker Fowler decided to race. So, yeah, that might be out the window for that one, but nonetheless, something to battle for.
Yeah, and there you go. And today, Josh Merritt sitting back there currently as they run in the number 9 spot with 2 laps complete. Not where Josh Merritt, a guy who's been just podium week in and week out, wants to be, but at the same time, when you step back from it, Josh definitely still fancies himself in the fight for even second, and was still very close. Even, he only dropped 4 points to Walker Fowler, and they were getting a little closer there in the points leading into the summer break. But, on a day like today, if you're Josh Merritt, like if you can get yourself up, every point he gains is a point he gains back on Wyatt Wilkin. You can see they have moved that machine back, not looking like Wyatt Wilkin will be gaining any points at all today, earning any points. So again, that battle, which swung Wyatt Wilkin's way 2 weeks ago with that win, edging out Josh Merritt, as you pointed out, by 1 point in the overall standings. Now Josh Merritt, assuming he gets to the finish line and scores points, will be back in front, currently running in that number 9 spot. So that would be 12 points that he would have, that he would now be 11 points ahead of Wyatt Wyatt Wilkin moving into round number 12.
So tough break there for the 621. You see multiple staff and crew members all taking a look at the machine. Guys, this is the 2024 salute to first responders here at the Mountaineer. We were talking about the Kurt Caselli medic mule that we've gotten gifted to us essentially from the foundation, but we know that's not all. Nobody likes talking about crashing, but we're lucky enough to have the safety on-site medical staff here with us, and we were able to get a little inside look as to what exactly goes on in the SOS medical rig.
Dr. Mark Tanner here with SOS. We're going to take a look at the medical rig. All right, so this is our medical triage area. We've got stuff for splinting, washing out eyes, laceration repairs. We got some splints. We got some walking boots for any kind of fractures. We got crutches, knee splints, wrist splints, slings. We got injectables, laceration, sutures. So probably the most common injury would be lacerations, abrasions. So we're able to wash people out, sew up complex lacerations. Then you got fractures. We can reduce fractures. All right, let's go inside and check out the x-ray machine. This is the portable x-ray. It's the Micro C by Oxos Medical. We're able to do extremities, so wrists, elbow, shoulder, knee, ankles, feet. You know, we get very good images, very low radiation. We keep IVs for emergency hydration. This saves you a trip to the ER. So we can do this, and we can do it quickly within 15, 20 minutes, and we're done. So we have a handheld ultrasound machine. This is good for small things. We can look at ligament injuries. We can look for IV placement, and not strong enough to do like an abdominal exam. So our plan is to get a full strength ultrasound by the end of the year. Thanks for joining us. So in summary, SOS, Safety on Site, is a 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible. All care is free to the racers, so we need donations, we need sponsorship. If you're interested in contacting us, we're gonna have a sheet. It's got a QR code for a donation site, and you can contact us if you wanna be a supporter. Thanks for joining us, and see you at the races.
We're so lucky, Johnny. I mean, obviously, nobody likes talking about the downside of GNCC racing, you know, the crashes, the injuries, but it is a little peace of mind, right? It's a little something on the starting line when you look over and you see Dr. Tanner, you see his staff there, and then obviously with that rig tour, you see the top-notch care that they're able to give completely free of charge to the riders, and they help fans out, they help parents out, family members, anybody that has any issues here at the GNCC races. Dr. Tanner and his whole crew are right there to take care of you. I mean, we really are super lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that you can bring to add safety, to add peace of mind, to what admittedly is a little bit of a dangerous sport. You know, we manage those risks as racers, and as families of racers and fans, we understand those risks. And frankly, that's part of what makes it exciting. You know, these guys are true warriors out there, but to have the team with the knowledge, the tools, and the backing to be able to keep things as safe as they can and get, you know, top-notch care to these guys as quickly as possible, that is a huge step forward here at GNCC Racing, and a big shout out to the SOS medical team and Dr. Tanner. And as he pointed out there, folks, you can make donations to that. 100% of what is donated helps that team get themselves here, upgrade and update their equipment. They have the best of the best, but there's always new stuff coming out. So if you're a fan of GNCC Racing and you want to chip in and say, hey, you know, I like what these guys are doing, make yourself a donation there to the SOS mobile medical team and help keep our sport as safe as you can.
Without a doubt. Yep, you are more than welcome to give donations. We highly encourage everybody to. I also, I believe it's $25. They've got those SOS shirts available as well. I was able to grab mine at the last round. So grab them, rock them, give them support, continue to donate, and they'll continue to be hanging out with us here at the GNCCs. What are you seeing, Johnny?
Leader on screen, but hot in pursuit. The 723 of Walker Fowler, almost to the point where he is on the rear wheel. You can see him hanging it out there. And we've got some lap traffic in the mix, making dust. So Ronnie Rush now not 100% clear vision. Still in a better position than Walker Fowler, being back there behind him. But we're about to see a battle on screen coming our way. A sense of urgency suddenly coming across for the 723 machine. Ronnie Rush countering everything everything so far, but he does have heavy pressure from behind from the 7-time champ Walker Fowler.
Man, we know it's going to be exciting. That one fan knew it was exciting. He asked for his phone, and man, look at how quick.
What a catch.
Walker, yeah, right, impressive, under pressure. But look at the dust after that. I mean,
guys, I'll tell you something else we need to watch for. The number 1 of Bryson Neal, I think, is going to be in hot pursuit here as well. There was a little gap last time, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to be a lot closer when we see him next. I think he's got clear vision now. He's made his way into that number 3 spot, and he is going to be on a charge trying to get to Walker Fowler before Walker Fowler can get around Ronnie Rush. And here he is.
And it goes B. Neal through the monster mile right there in that 3 spot, and that dust is settled just in front of him, Johnny, so he should be able to really carry some speed through these sections.
He's going to be able to chop that gap down and quickly. So Walker Fowler, Ronnie Rush doing everything right, man. Has not put a wheel wrong. Has just been able to hold his line and really hasn't had, per se, physical pressure throughout. But look at this. John Glauda Jr. hanging tough there. Still in the number. Oh, no, that's not John Glauda Jr. Thought it was for a minute. Big guy on a YFZ. Thought it was. But it's actually, we believe, Brandon Owens has gotten into that number. Nope, still Glauda. There is still the 712 machine, but still pretty close there. Great day for him there in the number 4 spot. Now we jump ahead to the 11-mile marker, and you can see as the dust gets thicker, Ronnie Rush's lead gets a little bit bigger. Walker Fowler just not quite able to hang through that dust. He's trying to get as close as he can, but he's likely gotten word that the Bidwell Bullet is lurking back there and chopping away time, getting ever closer to the back of Fowler. What we're told, a pass? Did Ronnie Rush made a mistake? Possibly. Ronnie Rush, yes. Ronnie Rush clipped a tree, and Walker Fowler makes the pass. New leader, the 723 of Walker Fowler. Ronnie Rush still there solidly in second. Hopefully no damage done to that machine, and he's able to get back up to pace and pursue Walker Fowler, trying to wrestle back that top spot. Exciting racing here. Man, wheel to wheel those guys were, and Walker Fowler able to get out of there first.
Yeah, shout out to OPAG. I wouldn't have noticed that there was a pass there. Would have thought we just missed your leader, but Ronnie Rush, how about it? Our drone operator keeping his eyes in the sky. Gabe doing a great job of letting us know what's going on from up above. And we talked about the pressure that Walker Fowler is able to put on the riders in front of him. I mean, it's one thing to be there, but it just seems like it's another level when it's Walker Fowler. I don't know whether he's that much more aggressive, whether he's yelling at you or what, but you could almost see that Ronnie Rush could sense that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you could see him take a look over his shoulder, and that to me was kind of the first moment that he had early in lap number 3. But hey, man, I don't care where Ronnie Rush ends up today, looking like he's still solidly in that number 2 spot. We know he's probably going to have some pressure coming from the number 1 of Bryson Neal, but nonetheless, what a ride for this guy. I mean, leading 2 laps of this thing, very, very nearly leading 3 of what will be a 4-lap race. We did see the white flag waving. Still a little bit of a gap over Bryson Neal. Ronnie Rush, I know you can't hear me, but race forward, don't look over your shoulder, and just get, so you can see he takes another look over there, and I get it, man. He knows these guys are coming, but what a ride for Ronnie Rush, proving today without question he's got the stuff to be up front, looking great, and hopefully he can keep it there.
Yeah, Ronnie's needed this one. I mean, Johnny, you remember XC2 Ronnie Rush. He was just stellar. I mean, nobody could touch Ronnie Rush in the XC2 class. Made the big jump to the XC1, and as we've seen with so many other riders, it is a huge, huge leap and a lot of pressure, I think, on Ronnie Rush to perform, but finally finding his legs in this XC1 class and looking good today. And I'm with you. Regardless of where he ends up, Ronnie is going to walk away from this one knowing, hey, I belong. I can get up there and compete with these guys.
Guys, let's talk gaps here quick. 13 seconds is the lead for Walker Fowler as they came through the white flag of Ricky Towery. Another 11 seconds back to Bryson Neal. Cue Bryson Neal now. Well, he's still about maybe a little bit closer. Well, I mean, I knew it was 11 seconds, so I had a little bit of context clues there. But Bryson Neal, very much the rider on the charge right now. Looking at the lap times from our 3rd lap of racing, Walker Fowler with a 27:04, pretty burner lap time to Ronnie Rush's 27:31, but 26:48 for Bryson Neal. Absolutely sending it. And I don't know if do we have an interview down here with. Okay, looks like we are going to try to get an interview with our last race winner, Wyatt Wilkin. And here we see Jared McClure on screen. we review, we check in. Looks like now the top 4, and there comes Jared McClure checking in 5. So 4th place, John Gallardo Jr. has checked in. Brandon Owens in 5th place has checked in, and now Jared McClure checking in the number 6 spot. So your top 6 riders have checked in now with 3 laps complete, and we'll toss it down to Jackson Burrell with Wyatt Wilkin. We'll let him tell the story of the day.
Yeah, Wyatt, racing will take you to the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows. You had to retire early here today. Will you take us through your race day?
Yeah, just a frustrating day. Subpar start. Somebody started early. I punched the throttle. Bike didn't start. Did not realize how dusty it was going to be. We dropped down in the woods, and you literally cannot see a thing. Like it shows right now, how everybody's gapped out right now. You cannot see, though. There's no wind in the woods, so when the dust comes up, you're just shooting blind. And I didn't really realize that my bike was smoking or making any had any smell to it till I went through the finish line, and it smelled like antifreeze to me, and I didn't know if the bike was overheating or what was going on. Went another like mile and a half, and I saw smoke coming everywhere. At that point, it really wasn't that bad, and I was like, you know what? If I can get back and get this thing fixed, I can maybe make a run at that top 20, try to save up some points. Come back to the pits, and we could not figure out what was going on. There was oil all over the motor, but we couldn't see where it was coming out. Filled that sucker to the top, and we sent it. Try to hope to God it fixed itself, or maybe it wasn't bad enough to the motor wouldn't lock up. And I got halfway through that lap, and it sounded like you dropped a box of rocks in that thing. I don't honestly know how it made back here. It was, I can't describe the sound. We pulled it in, and there was oil everywhere. Man, just a crap day. Just sucks.
Tough day today. Thanks for the interview. Thanks for the info, Wyatt.
Yeah, that speaks volumes about who Wyatt Wilkin is. Like you said, highest of the high 2 weeks ago, lowest of the lows today, taking the time to speak with us, and in a very professional way, telling us what happened. Unfortunate, you can see in his face, in his eyes, but let me tell you, things like that build character. This guy knows what it takes to win. He's got it done, and won't be the last we see of Wyatt Wilkin, that's for sure.
So we saw during the middle of that interview, we did flash back to what looked to be the battle for second place between Ronnie Rush and Bryson Neal. We asked OPAG, we believe Fowler made his way through, so he is, as we believe, still out front, but that gap had all but disappeared between Ronnie Rush and Bryson Neal.
Ronnie Rush, a cloud of dust, and then a flash of what was some yellow and black moose riding gear that we caught up number 1 on the back of. So Bryson Neal in pursuit. And folks, if he's able to get to the rear of Ronnie Rush, which it looks like he is doing in quite a short amount of time, he's going to be putting the pressure on, wanting that position and likely wanting more.
Yeah.
Surely, if he can, he's going to try to go after the 723 of Walker Fowler.
Johnny, we got a text from Griff Cotter saying that Bryson Neal riding PO'd right now, it seems. So I think we might be getting that 120 mile an hour Bryson Neal of, man, the one guy I need to be finishing in front of right now, so I got one less thing to worry about is in
Bryson
front of me.
Neal second.
There he is in the 2 spot. Now to track down his good buddy Walker Fowler out in front.
Yeah, Ronnie Rush still there in the number 3 spot.
And Ronnie hanging.
And we'll see if we can get a gap. It looks like it was about 128.44 when Ronnie Rush came through. So what is the gap back to our 4th place rider, John Gallardo Jr., for Ronnie Rush to hang on to that final podium position? John Gallardo Jr. should be coming through here just about any second, looking like we are at 20 seconds right now, and we'll count up from there. So he's got a pretty good gap if he can just kind of gather it up. Obviously losing 2 positions. If you're Ronnie Rush, in my opinion, maybe this is why I didn't win too many races, he should still be stoked right now. He's sitting in the 3rd place spot, and there we see Big Papa P, Jeff Pickens, I believe that is, pretty certain, coming through. That might have also been Todd Moscala. I might have been wrong.
Oh, yep.
One of the 2 of them. They ride a very similar bike and setup. But coming through there, if you're Ronnie Rush, look, now we're approaching a minute that he has over John Gallardo Jr. To gather it up, get to the podium, if you're Ronnie Rush, I don't think there's anything you look back on today and say, man, could have won that thing. Sure, of course, you want to move forward and look in the future, here's what I can do. But for today, you get up on that box, you rev that thing to the moon, and you celebrate with the fans. Because this will be, if he's able to hang on to it, his first GNCC overall podium. There is John Gallardo Jr. about 1 minute and 14 seconds back from Ronnie Rush, and starting to feel a little pressure from behind from the 246 of Brandon Owens there in the number 5 spot. Both of those guys guys also, so our 3rd, 4th, and 5th place riders all looking at potentially a season best finish here today at the Mountaineer. Walker Fowler out front in mile marker number 4, and we'll see if OPAG can get a stopwatch on this, and he will ring in and let us know what the gap is. Waiting and watching the number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal, charging through the dust on a tear. We talked about it. The word is riding on a mission, we'll say.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely trying to track down all of the riders in front of him and starting in the 3rd spot, but on lap number 1 being in 6th, now all the way up to 2nd, and in pursuit of the 723 and his closest competitor in the overall championship battle. It is Bryson Neal. 25.27 seconds is specifically what we are told. And Ronnie Rush hanging tough there in 3rd. Go Ronnie. I am a Rippin' fan today. Would love to see him put it on the box. And a young man that has put so much time into GNCC racing. What a way to be able to pay back all the sponsors, the parents, everybody, his family that have backed him throughout the years, and popping bottles on the GNCC podium.
That's it. Yeah, it'd be big for Ronnie. We're supposed to be unbiased, I know, but rooting for the guy to get up there and get a podium. Again, Johnny, let's saying earlier, when he was in the XC2, like nobody had anything for him. Like he was just stellar, and he made that big jump to the XC1. And you get used to being on the podium every single race, and then it just doesn't happen. And you're like, man, what am I doing here? Well, today is going to be that day that Ronnie Rush gets to hopefully remind himself of why he's doing this.
Well, you look, I believe it was 1 year or maybe 2 years earlier before Ronnie Rush won that championship. Might have been 2020, actually, that Ronnie won that. I can't recall exactly. We'd have to look back and see. But I do know, I believe it was 1 or 2 years prior, it was actually John Glaude Jr. who won that XC2 championship.
Right, yes.
So our 3rd and 4th place riders on track, both former XC2 champions battling over a podium position and good friends off the track. These guys spend a lot of time. So if John Glaude Jr. gets the memo that it's Ronnie Rush in front of him now for that final podium spot, little extra pep in his step. And if you're Ronnie Rush and you get the memo that it's John Glaude Jr. or anyone coming, you're laying everything you got out there, just trying to maintain that gap. It was about 1 minute and 10 seconds, 1 minute 12 seconds. We don't know exactly what it is now. Jared McClure, look at this. The Cobra coming back. One of the old guys really putting in the fight here late in the race, back in that number 6 place spot, but starting to put pressure on Brandon Owens, who is also putting pressure on John Glaude Jr. So 4, 5, and 6 all in the same camera shot there, which is rare on a day like today where we've not seen a lot of wheel-to-wheel battling.
That's it. Yeah, and shout out to Brandon Owens. Stellar day for him, sitting in that top 5 here late in this one, getting down to the nitty-gritty here with the white flag out.
Guys, we may not get to talk to these guys after the race, but we'll check in with our XC2 here, and looking like we have a new leader in that XC2 Pro-Am class. Grayson Eller making his way to the front with a 6-second lead over Alex Thiemann, and then Braxton Gross there in the number 3 spot, about just shy of 30 seconds back. Ironically, your top 3 in the day are your top 3 in points in that order, so these guys are battling it out, trying to put the wraps on that XC2 2024 overall championship.
That's it. Well, Walker Fowler is your new leader out in front. Bryson Neal sitting in the number 2 spot, and Ronnie Rush trying to hang on for his first overall podium. And how it plays out in a dusty Mountaineer. There is Walker Fowler. That was still in the 2 spot right there behind Rush. And right there, a mistake by Ronnie Rush, maybe tagging a tree, able to get back on the machine quick, but it was enough for Walker Fowler to get around him.
Yeah, looking like maybe he tagged the tree and stalled the machine. By the time he got it refired, this rider right here was able to get around, and then in quick succession, just a few miles later, Bryson Neal able to make it up to the number 2 spot, and they're going to settle it out. We're going to have all the racing action coming back right after this.
When I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach. Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation. The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Mikey Wayne's here alongside Johnny Gallagher, Zach Herron, and Jackson Burrell out and about. What a view. What a facility. A beautiful, beautiful facility. There's the Alpha Tower.
The Alpha Tower, really the hub of this facility. You know, it's just kind of, we start with A, work our way out. I'm actually parked by Tower B.
Oh, the Bravo
The
Tower.
Bravo, Alpha Bravo. But, man, what a facility. We've talked about it. If you guys were tuned in with us earlier, if you checked out this facility on our overview, you can see here the Summit Bechtel Reserve. I mean, so many things here. They have the sustainability cabin, really showing what can happen moving forward if you go green, recycle, solar power, all these things. A lot of fossil fuels here this weekend, but that's okay.
True.
We can all coexist.
True.
The Scouts have done a great job building this place up. A lot of people have gotten behind this facility over the years, and it really, truly is awe-inspiring when you pull in here and you look at the map and you kind of zoom out on Google Maps and you're like, okay, so we're like, give or take 5 miles from anywhere that's not on this property. We're pretty much right here in the center at the hub.
Yeah, it is impressive facility, to say the least, because you map it here and you get here and you're like, we arrive, and then you drive for another almost 15, 20 minutes before you actually get to the GNCC racetrack.
I highly encourage you to use your GNCC app. As somebody who was brand new last year, I may or may not have spent over an hour very lost.
Trying to. You were here?
Yes,
but you
I showed up at night. I didn't know I had got less than stellar directions. Apple Maps cut off, and I thought I was going to be walking for the rest of the weekend. So.
All right. We wait and we watch here at the FMF PowerPoint. Waiting on the leaders, we believe it is, and here comes the 723 of Walker Fowler. One thing I will say, seems a little less dust as we get in, and let's explain why that is. Not here, but certain sections of the racetrack, like coming down, you actually get down to the hard pan dirt. Look at this.
Wow.
Bryson Neal, nearly to the rear wheels of Walker Fowler. Will he be able to make a heroic last lap charge to wrestle the win away from the 723 of Fowler? This one's going to be a battle right down to the wire.
Let's go. This is what we signed up for, boys.
This is going to be a dogfight, too. You can see the aggression in both of their riding styles. The table for two is set.
See how far back Ronnie Rush is in that 3 spot. So Fowler, Neal, and Rush, at least last we saw,
looking like a lapped rider now working his way through, trying to get off maybe to the side of the trail. Wow, those two have now really, really lit the wick. I will not be surprised to see some really quick lap times here on lap number 4, looking like they're pushing the pace. And will Ronnie Rush still there, solidly in the number 3 spot? What is his gap back to John Glaude Jr., or has Brandon Owens has made the pass? Is it Jared McClure who's on a charge? So much action back here in the 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. These guys, this next 3, last time we saw them, 4th, 5th, and 6th, basically wheel to wheel, was over a minute from Ronnie Rush back. We have a machine coming, looking to be moving a little bit slower. I think that is a lapped rider. So John Glaude Jr. not quite able to close that gap up just yet. Looking like Ronnie Rush relatively safe here at the 7-mile marker with about 4 miles of racing action left here on lap number 4 before we see Ricky Towery with the checkered flag waving. Ah, man, this one's going to come down to the wire, guys.
Now, Johnny, I got to ask, who's in the better spot? Bryson Neal, he was in 6th. He's made a lot of passes to get here, so he's probably got some hot spots picked out on the track. Walker Fowler, though, maybe hasn't had to expend as much energy. He's been kind of hanging tough behind Ronnie this whole time. Who do you think's got the upper hand in this battle it's about to shape up?
The guy who's got the upper hand is the guy who wants it more. This is really going to come down to that. Walker Fowler, I think from the positioning aspect, definitely has a pretty clear advantage, not having to eat the dust. But Bryson Neal has the big mo on his side. He has the momentum, like he pointed out, from 6th all the way up to the number 2 spot. And now he can see Walker Fowler. It's like a carrot dangling there. He's like, a dog with a bone. He's not going to give up on that. There's no thought going through Bryson Neal's mind right now of, okay, let's settle in here to 2nd. Good day. We're just going to salvage points. We're only going to lose 5 points. No, he's going for broke. He wants that top spot. Walker Fowler's surely going to fight him, but I really, truly believe this one will come down to the final corners. And it really is going to be a situation of picking good lines, who can put in the right push at the right time, and is Bryson able to get to Walker? Will Walker feel that pressure, or will Walker possibly pick it up, or will the dust prove to be too thick? We don't know. That's why we're here at Racer TV, bringing you all the action, but speculation. Who wants it more? That's what it comes down to.
I tell you what I'm excited for is that hard-packed 180-degree turn right before the finish line that just perfectly sets up an opportunity, should it get that far. But without a doubt, this one's going to come down to the wire. We've seen that in some of our earlier classes, and Neal he's on the hunt right now.
I mean, we've seen that between Neal and Walker this season as well in some of those sections.
Here's another thing, guys. With this dust, it is so important to be so close. You talked about passing opportunities. Does one of these guys, or potentially both of them, have lines picked out that they haven't used to this point in the race? You got to wonder, if you're Walker Fowler and you had a line saved up, you would have been trying to use it on Ronnie Rush to get the lead earlier in the race. Bryson Neal has made some passes. We haven't seen any of those on camera, and some of those passes he's made between where we are now at the 7-mile marker and the finish line. So does he have some hot lines out there that maybe some of the other riders haven't picked up on? And if he's close enough, can he use one of those to potentially catapult himself into the lead in front of Walker Fowler? Man, we wish we had a little mini drone that could follow these guys all the way to the finish line, but our drone pilot Gabe Shull out there getting us those shots from that Yamaha Racing live drone, and we did get to see through the woods the pass for the lead after Ronnie Rush, we believe, tagging that tree, installing the machine. We get all these stories after the race, but man, it sure is cool when we get to see it live.
So taking a look back now overhead. Yeah, once again, the Yamaha Racing live drone will wait to see what looks to be the battle royale between Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal for the lead and for the win here at this Mountaineer GNCC.
Guys, let's add a little drama to this. That's about the 10-mile marker. We're at the 7, so we got maybe a couple minutes until we see him there. If you're Walker Fowler, admittedly saying, hey, I'm not 100% at this point coming into today, how much is that going to be looming on his mind? At this point, he's just driving forward. Yeah. But at some point, he's going to catch a glimpse or get a pit board and know that Bryson Neal is coming. How much is left in the tank? Does Walker have enough to be able to dig deep, counter the offense that Bryson Neal is putting down right now, which is just throttle, and more throttle? He is coming, he is charging, and he wants that number 1 spot. Walker Fowler kind of sat back there patiently in the number 2 spot throughout much of the day, able to capitalize on that mistake from Ronnie Rush taking the lead. But how much is left in the tank if you're Walker Fowler? Again, we're not questioning anybody's training or anything like that. This is a rider coming back from a dual hernia surgery just about 2 months ago, almost to the day. And again, a rider that 2 weeks ago we did not expect to see on the starting line. You got to believe that maybe fitness, maybe that strength not being at 100%, is that weighing in his mind, or is he just going for it, Mikey? We're about to find out.
What's interesting,
that you bring that up, Johnny, because, talking to Walker, and I think we've shared this in his interview, if not, he said it publicly, so we can say it, was he had that surgery as a plan because I want to make at least one more run in 2025 at this championship. And then we know what happened with the weather delay, and he ends up coming out and racing that one and doing well, and obviously doing well here today, maybe even with a win. This guy it's just championship mentality with Walker Fowler. And some guys have that and some guys don't. Walker has it. You and I, we were texting our friend Caleb Russell, stayed kind of quiet, but I was talking about championship mentality. He was another one that had that back in the day. There's just something special there. You just can never count guys like him, like Walker Fowler, out. And while Walker says in the back of his head, I really want to make a push for 2025, the championship mentality comes out in days like today.
And what's so cool is we're seeing, a battle of two champions. We have our two-time champion Bryson Neal trying to track down our seven-time champion Walker Fowler, and it's rare that you get to see two guys like this at the pinnacle of their game. A lot of people would speculate and say, well, Walker Fowler might be past his prime, 32 years old now. Right. But the reality of it is, Walker right there battling for a win here today shows that he's very much still in the mix. Second place just 2 weeks ago, coming right off of surgery, already having won a round, a consistent figure on the podium. But Bryson Neal has just been such a force here in 2024. In my opinion, in terms of his riding, we've seen two dominant last year, a really dominant championship season. We saw Walker and Bryson toe-to-toe all the way to round 13 in 2022. But this year, it really has been the Bidwell Bullet just getting it done all year long in dominating fashion. So if you're Walker Fowler, you want to keep yourself in this championship fight. So important. There was a rider ahead of Walker Fowler there. I don't see a lot of dust. We'll wait and see. There is Bryson Neal. So it is still Walker Fowler leading the way. Bryson Neal there in the number 2 spot. I don't see the urgency right now from Bryson Neal. He's definitely still trying, but I think at this point he realizes with the track that's left and the amount of dust, he may have to settle for second place here today without giving up. He's surely going to keep charging, but he's not right in that dust of Walker Fowler anymore. He's dropped back about 6-8 seconds, and right now this is Walker Fowler's to lose. And folks, if you're GNCC fans, what is shaping up right now is a championship battle that looking like more and more it may come down to our final round of racing at Ironman after we've obviously got the John Penton GNCC coming up, and also a historic day. Mikey, I'll let you take this.
Well, it just occurred to me, win number 76, Johnny, is what we'd be looking at right here, and would make him stand alone atop the all-time wins list, something that somehow we did not bring up this entire race because we were just so focused on what was happening. Ronnie Rush having a stellar day, Fowler finding himself out front. But, Johnny, this would solidify him as the number one as far as all-time wins are concerned today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been something that's been looming. We obviously saw earlier this year at the Hoosier, the when he wrestled away from Bryson Neal just miles from the finish line, making number 75, tying him with Chris Borich as the all-time wins leader, not just for ATVs, but in all of GNCC racing. Today, looking like with just a few corners to go, maybe the day, it's on the table. Can he get 76? It's looking more and more likely, but surely you cannot take anything away from Bryson Neal. What a charge through the pack. But right now, we're waiting, we're watching, and this is it, folks. This is coming to the finish line. We have just a few sections of racetrack remaining. We'll get some more drone shots, and then our obviously camera shot at the finish line. And man, I'm sure the fences are absolutely packed. The banners are packed over there. Bryson Neal kind of settling in here. You can see not a full charge, but still absolutely shredding there in the number 2 spot. What a ride by that man here today.
Yeah, Bryson Neal showing why he is of that championship caliber here, not giving up. Tough break for him, too. Had to really work his way through the pack in dusty conditions, making passes, and obviously maybe a little frustrated at times, but Walker Fowler putting himself in position. Small little mistake by Ronnie Rush, bumped him back to second. Fowler able to make the pass, and then Neal gets around Rush, but Ronnie, last time we saw him, still sitting in that number 3 and final podium spot, as here comes Walker Fowler. A little checkup from the neck up right there, maybe a little
celebratory fist bump there.
And there goes Mark Notman saying, go get number, oh boy, big mistake right there by Walker. Walker back on the machine.
You talk about a heart-stopping moment. He got loose with the rear end there, up off the side of the machine.
Maybe a little excited.
Man, that was a That was a moment, but it looks like he gathered it up, and he's going to be able to get it done here today. Man, you can see the salute to the crowd. A 7-time champion and now a 76-time GNCC overall race winner. Walker Fowler gets it done here today at the Mountaineer GNCC.
I mean, just an incredible race day for Walker Fowler. Johnny, put this in perspective for us. You are certainly, I've been around for a lot of these wins by Walker Fowler. Here for him to jump up into the top 5, the top 3, now number 1 all time. This is a man that at one point in his career looked like 100 wasn't out of the question. Injury happened, and the question was, will he ever race again? And then it was, well, will he race? When he does race again, will he be the same person? Put this in perspective, Johnny. He now sits atop the all-time wins list by himself with 76.
You know, I've got a lot of races under my belt, Mikey, and I can't even begin to fathom what the feeling he's going through right now. A lot of respect right there. Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler knows it too. I mean, Bryson came through the pack, put on a charge, and made him work for it right down to the final miles of racing here today. But I believe that when the dust settles, literally and figuratively here today, this one is going to take some time to settle in for Walker Fowler. Just the magnitude of it, the gravity of what he's done here today. Winning a race is amazing. To do it one time, you know, that's a life goal for a lot of people, to have an overall GNCC win in the largest, most prestigious off-road racing series in the world. You know, it's phenomenal. Look at this. Ronnie Rush coming across the line.
Let's go, Ronnie.
The number 3 spot. You can see him wheelie in the ditch there. He's celebrating.
Stoked.
That man is not upset at all that he lost a couple positions there. He is on the podium. Rippin' Ronnie, congratulations on your first ever GNCC overall podium here today. That right there is pure emotion. That man worked for it today. A great start and able to push it all the way to the finish. You can see surrounded by his entire family there. See the girlfriend, and there's mom, there's his sister, some fans around there as well. Ronnie is just elated, and rightly so. What a momentous accomplishment for Ronnie Rush here today. Could not be happier for that young man. Just pure emotion.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very emotional Ronnie Rush right there, rightfully so. Ronnie, you got me and Johnny choked up a wee bit in the TV booth. I'm not going to lie to you.
You know, hey, Lil Rondo was his name back in the day. Today is the day that Lil Rondo becomes Big Ron, and he's a man taking it across for his first ever overall podium. Man, couldn't be happier for this guy. And folks, I'm getting choked up. You want to know what these people, what these families, there's his mechanic, you know, Matt. You want to know what these people put into GNCC racing. You want to know how much they want this. Look at the looks on their faces. When they come across on a day like today. This is just pure emotion dump, man. This is everything they had. They've chased this not for today, not for this year. They've chased this for a lifetime.
Oh, yeah. And Ronnie Rush, be remiss to say, you know, very good friends with Matthew Blankenship, who, Johnny, you and I knew very well. And Ronnie kind of had to grow up and be an adult real quick, very young, a lot younger than a lot of other kids his age at that time. And I think he's today is just proof in the pudding. You stick to something, you believe in yourself, surround yourself with the right people, and good things will happen to you. So standing by for our post-race interviews.
It looks like our 4th and 5th place riders have checked in as well. John Glauda Jr., shout out to him, not on the podium today, but a great ride there in the number 4 spot. Also Brandon Owens in the number 5 spot. Season best finish for John Glauda Jr., and I believe career best finished for Brandon Owens there in the 5th place spot. So shout out to him and the Sturdivant Motorsports guys there. Awesome to see them up and battling here at the front of the XC1 field and overall here in GNCC racing. What an accomplishment.
It's incredible. So another special day here, and sounds like we are ready. I think Zach Heron standing by with the man who sits atop the all-time wins list by himself with 76, Walker Fowler.
Hey guys, we know sharing is caring, but Walker Fowler did not want to share that number 1 spot. He got it, 76. He got the job done. Enjoy it. Take a sip, man. You've been working hard for it. He was just telling me, he said, I didn't even want to take a sip out of that thing during the race because it was coated in mud. Bryson Neal told me a minute ago this might have been one of the hardest races he's ever been a part of. We good? Okay, he's ready. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Where's my Walker Fowler fans at? You were tied atop. You get 76, and now you get the job done, man. How does it feel? Has it even set in yet?
That last lap, I was like, I know Bryson's going to catch you. It doesn't matter if you're 3 minutes ahead or 3 seconds ahead. He'll run you down. And, man, the track just got so skatey and sketchy. And I was really having fun because I could see finally. Man, Ronnie Rush, that start was so important. I know Bryce and I were kind of battling for it too, and I kind of just, I was as aggressive as I could be without taking anybody out or myself out, and Rondo, he made it count. He went into the woods. I'm like, oh, he might get his first win today. And he rode so good. And, that first lap, I just couldn't see anything. And honestly, I think we dug down so far that we actually started to hit a little bit of moisture, and parts of the track got better visually. But, I mean, course-wise, man, the rocks grew about 10 inches during that race. And at first, the setup was a little off. But, man, once I was able to start picking up the pace and track got gnarlier, everything kind of came around. But there was just a few spots where I was catching lap traffic and I could hear a bike behind me revving, and I'm like, yeah, that's not, I know that's that Phoenix 24 exhaust back there. I'm just like, rats. There's about 2 miles up ahead that have no dust, so I have to ride the wheels off this thing for 2 miles, keep them behind me, and if I can just get to the last mile and a half, it's so dusty, you physically, I don't care who you are, unless you're an alien, you're not going to follow anybody. And man, we got to that part, and it got silent. I'm just like, yes, like I literally just have to get to the finish line, fist pumping coming down the pro pits. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be so cool, my family's here and stuff. I don't know what I did. I threw that thing sideways. It must have watered, and I don't know how I saved it at least to the point of not coming completely off the bike. I never lost the clutch. Man, I was everything but upside down. Thank goodness I've spent 2 weeks to get in a little bit better shape, because I would have been, excuse me, over in the beta truck had I not. This is pretty cool. Check this out. But yeah, luckily I saved it. Man, I don't know if I'd have been able to get up in time and stay in front of Bryson, and that would have been really embarrassing. But it's funny how things are supposed to work out. So I take them how I get them. I rode a phenomenal race. Was I the fastest guy today? No. Am I the fastest guy this year? No. Am I going to ever be the fastest guy again? Probably not. But sometimes you don't got to be the fastest guy. And I'm just so proud of my team. I'm so thankful for the good Lord above for just everything he's doing in my life right now, man. It's been a tough couple of years, been a tough couple of months for sure. And it's funny how things work out, and God has a plan, and I'm just letting him do it, because every time I try to be in control, bad things happen. So man, my family, my beautiful girlfriend, all the Pipers back home, thank you guys so much. The whole GBC Fly Racing WFR Yamaha team, man. 76. There is no more tied. There is no more who's at the top. There's one, and it's me, and that feels so freaking cool to say that. I'm just so thankful. Like I said, all these awesome sponsors, guys. Drawing a blank here. B&R Motorsports, suspension, Fox Rear Shock, and that B&R Motorsport package, anti-gravity batteries, webcams, getting us off to that whole shot, or almost a whole shot, and that was huge. Today was literally about the start and not doing anything dumb. These Wrath Racing components have really been tested the last 2 weeks. I put them against a lot of other riders today, a lot of trees, a lot of rocks. Same with Hauser Racing components. These flex handlebars, this precision stabilizer, these tire balls, Douglas wheels, VP Racing fuels, this IMS quick fill system got me in and out of the pits quick. Awesome pit stop. Worst connection, Behringer brake systems. I had to slow you down these big West Virginia hills. Man, I'm sure I'm forgetting Yamalube Racing Lubricants. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people. My awesome mechanic, Mark Nauman, builds an incredible machine. The Nauman family, thank you guys for being here. And my awesome fans, thank you so much. This feels so cool.
No more questions, folks. Walker Fowler, the winningest winner here in GNCC. He gets lucky number 76.
And guys, if you are not down there at the finish line, you might want to head that way, because little birdie told me that hat that Walker Fowler has on his head, there's 500 of those up for grabs here today. The folks from Yamaha Blue Crew and GBC Power Sports Tires wanting to recognize their rider for his momentous achievement. Printed up since he got that win there at the Hoosier. Dude. They've been sitting in the trailer quietly. He didn't know they were there. Those will be passed out at the podium, so head down there, grab yourself a hat, and we've got our word with our championship leader and our second place finisher today after a phenomenal charge through the pack, Bryson Neal.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Bryson Neal. Bryson, when we saw you off the start, you were in the 3rd place position. Next time we saw you, you're all the way back in the 6th place position. You did what you needed to do, got a 2nd place here on the day, leaving with some valuable points. Take us through your race day.
Oh, like you said, I got a good start. I was 3rd place going to the woods, and man, did I throw it away. Just got up on a little bit of slickness in the middle, had way too much speed in the dust, and I overshot a corner, and then I got wedged between 2 trees, had to get off the bike. Whole class went by me, and man, I jumped in dead last, and oh man, it was a hard comeback. That was one of the hardest dust races I've ever had to come back through. I'm super happy to get 2nd place today just because I had to take so many chances. I was ping-ponging off of rocks, just one by one, just marched my way to the front, made passes, and just kept pushing. I was feeling great. But I like the track. I like the flow whenever I did get some clear section and some clear trail. Oh my goodness, this DASA engine was just rocking and rolling. CST tires were digging, Elka shocks, head-pack solutions was just tuned great, soaking everything awesome. Right whenever I caught Brandon up, and I was right on his dust, trying to stay as close to him as possible. I hit a tree with my left front tire, and I lost all my front brake flutter, and I had to keep pumping it to keep just a little bit of feeling. Stay like that for about a lap, and then the last lap it came. And got right to Ronnie Rush, got around him. Someone told me I was like 15 seconds from the lead. And man, I just put my head down, and I was just trying to put it in a burner, just trying to run him down. And I knew once I got to him, it was going to be even harder of a fight just to right in the dust and stay close enough to even try to do something. Dust was the biggest enemy today. It was super sketchy, dangerous track day, and smoked my rear brakes and had a little bit too much speed coming into one of the corners. Rolled the bike on me. Someone who's standing there helped me get it back up. And then I guess I came to the finish line. I figured out Walker, he rode it in pro road too. So we both took a little tumble on the last lap. But all in all, I'm happy to come back. I'm happy to get 2nd place. Happy to have this bike in one piece. To have a great start like we did, throw it away, and then do it the hard way and come back to the pack like we did. I'm happy with that. It was a dang good ride, and I can hang my hat on that. And love the next 2 races. We'll keep on boogieing on.
Bryson, great ride today. I do have to ask you, going into these last 2 rounds, are you feeling the burden of expectations as far as the championship goes?
Oh no. There ain't no pressure. There ain't nothing like that at all. So today was just one of those days that just kind of fought me, didn't go my way. Did what we could, fought back, rode phenomenal. So there ain't no confidence lacking here, man. We know what we got to do, and we've been in these pressure cookers before. So we still got a 21-point lead, I believe. So we're ready for a fight. We look forward to that. That's how we like it. So bring it on.
Cool, calm, and collected. That's your 2nd place, Bryson Neal.
Yeah, you ask these guys, you thinking anything about, we talked about this before with Stu Baylor. You thinking anything about points while you're racing? We know Stu does, but Bryson Neal already knows 21 points, and he is spot on. That is the gap that he carries heading into the final 2 rounds of GNCC racing. But, I mean, he articulated better than we ever could have. Managed today beautifully, charged through the pack, maximized, aside from passing Walker Fowler, did everything perfect all day. And another guy that did everything perfect today for 2 laps, almost 3 laps of racing, Ronnie Rush, with your first career ever overall podium here today, is standing by with Jackson Burrell.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Ronnie Rush. Ronnie, your first ever XC1 podium. Take us through your day.
Man, I don't even know where to start, dude. Dad and Matt Corpy, we were just getting the bike ready all day, and I was like, man, it's going to be rocky. It's going to be dusty. This start means so much to us. So we just, we got a great start all the way from the outside, just never let off, and carried my momentum around the outside and just got across the line first. And I was like, sweet, man, we get to go up on the podium today. That's cool. But I just kept my head down, man, and just rode a smart, strong pace. And, I went through the first lap, and I was like, man, I got a good lead right now. So I just kept on pushing, and I knew I had a lot of dust behind me, so I was just trying to keep a smart pace going. I felt like I was ripping, man. Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal, man, they are the best of the best, and I think I led 2 laps and almost 3. I just tagged a tree right here before the finish on the going into the white flag, but we just just kept telling ourselves we got to breathe. We got to breathe. So, man, we just kept on ripping. Custom Axis shocks, it was like riding on a cloud all day. Wasner pistons, man, that thing was screaming. TDR, man, had the bike just ripping. Kind of tires, Klotz lube, G2 ergonomics, Osborne off-road, Hauser Racing, Matt Corpy, my dad. I just don't even know where to start. My beautiful girlfriend, my sisters. Man, I could just go on and on. It's going to take me a few days to process this, but, man, we got it done, and it feels good.
Man, after a podium finish here today, how you feeling going into these final 2 rounds?
I definitely set the bar pretty high for myself. The whole time I was out there, I was like, yeah, it's dusty. It's helping me out a little bit, but just the confidence I had out there just really showed me what I can be, a monster in a few years. So, I was talking to Mikey Waynes a little bit before the race, and I was like, man, it's been an awesome year, but we just haven't been able to put it all together. Like, I feel like it's there. We got the training, we got the bike. We're just had a little bit of bad luck going, but I just don't even know where to start, man. I'm at a loss of words. God is good, and shout out my buddy Xander Roth. I was talking to him, and just some reason he was like, if you get on the podium this week and shout me out, and man, we made that happen. So shout out Xander Roth. I know you're watching right now, man, and I'm so pumped right now. And shout out GNCC. Shout out these spectators. I just don't even know where to start, man. I'm at a loss of words.
He got it done today, guys. That's your 3rd place, Ronnie Rush.
Well, Mikey, that right there, the shout out to Xander Alf, that takes me back. Those two used to battle at A-Works races.
Oh, nice.
Back about 15, 16
Holy
years
smokes.
ago when they were just kids on youth quads. So we talked about it, seeing the emotion at the finish line there. He showed the emotion there again. What this means to Ronnie Rush, his crew, all these guys. You're Walker Fowler, you're Bryson Neal. Podium is kind of, it's your thing. Yeah. You're there all the time. But when somebody gets there for the first time or grabs their first win, it's just absolutely huge.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a look now at our specialized race recap. Another stellar day in the history books for GNCC. Some chaos at the start. Turned out it was Stephen Harrell who jumped that start. He ended up being penalized, being held at the finish line for 15 seconds. But everybody we talked to said starts are going to be big today, and no one got a better one than Ronnie Rush grabbing that Canati Tires Whole Shot Award.
Ooh, and then the moment that almost changed it all for him, Ronnie Rush absolutely sending that ditch coming into the VP Fuels Pro Row, and he was absolutely on a mission, and he was able to gather it up, roosted our camera a little bit, and then unfortunately our previous round winner, Wyatt Wilkin, exiting early there, having some machine troubles, ultimately saying that machine bled to death, lost all its oil. But Ronnie Rush just making tracks, making dust, and making everybody else work for it out front all day long. Walker Fowler putting in charge, kind of sitting back there in the dust early, and then we saw things stir, and this is kind of the moment where it all started to change. Walker Fowler able to get to the rear wheels, put a little bit of pressure on Ronnie Rush. You can see in the same camera shot, riding through the dust, and then Ronnie Rush looking like he still had it under control until this moment, right about here. Ronnie Rush tagging that tree, stalling the machine. Walker Fowler, our top-notch drone pilot, Gabe Shull, getting it all there on the drone. There is Ronnie Rush now emerging from the woods in second. That was the moment it all changed. From there on, Walker Fowler out front, but then it was the Bidwell Bullet there, charging, taking away the number 2 spot, starting all the way back. He said at the end of the field, the farthest back we saw him was 6, starting in 3rd, dropping to the back, charging up. Ronnie Rush still right there pushing, wanting to hang on to that final podium spot, Mikey.
Yeah, Ronnie doing a great job to hang with those guys and make sure he sealed the deal in his first overall podium. And then Walker Fowler hanging on. We were kind of quiet about it all race, and win number 76, putting him atop the all-time wins list by his lonesome self.
You didn't mention it, and I wasn't gonna.
I didn't want to jinx it. It had crossed my mind a little bit when he first got the lead, and I thought, let's leave it alone until it feels like a sure thing. And boy, just what a day.
Well, and it felt like a sure thing right up until about
now
here.
I was like,
folks,
no.
This is 250 yards from the finish line. Walker Valley, you can see the crew coming, like, okay, we need to get him going, but he says, no, guys, I got this. Just wanted to do a little acrobatics to kind of put some emphasis on win number 76. You can see a lot of respect between those two.
Yeah.
Let's face it, bitter championship rivals, but when the race is over and the dust settles, they're both going for the same thing, man. They just want to win races, and they want to be the men.
I honestly feel like as we look at your results there, Fowler, Neal, Rush, John Glott, solid day in the top 5. Brandon Owens, you said, I think maybe his best finish in the XC1.
I believe, and actually it does confirm there, Walker, West Virginia, so another West Virginia native, having a great day here. And again, shout out to Sturtevant Motorsports, Power Sports, the Sturdivant boys backing him. West Virginia folk themselves, and I believe a career best overall finish for him. Jared McClure, quiet but lethal there, back in the number 6 spot. Adam McGill 7th, Chris Forge 8th, Josh Merritt 9th, will take over that 3rd place spot. And again, we talked about Hunter Hart, not a good start back there, ending the day in the number 10 spot. You know, a rider that is not going to be happy leaving here today. But that was your top 10 results as they run. We do know, I did check in our XC2 riders. Top 3 have come in. The winner was your points leader, Grayson Eller. Alex Tiemann there in the number 2 spot, and Braxton Gross in 3rd. So that is your podium. 4th place hadn't checked in yet, but it was a battle between those 4 or 5 guys all day long.
Solid day of racing, Johnny. Big takeaways today for you.
76 wins.
That's it.
I mean, you could break it down so many things. Bryson Neal showing exactly why he's in the position he's in with that points lead, just charging through the pack. But I believe the story of the day is Walker Fowler is the all-time GNCC wins leader with 76 wins. And again, get down to that podium, get your hats. We'll save a few to give out on social media. Yeah, pretty cool for him today, and Ronnie Rush with that podium. Those are the 3 things that stand out to me.
There's nothing I can add to that. Yeah, you can't take away anything. 76 wins for Walker Fowler, and Ronnie Rush, really an emotional day for him, rounding out that box on the podium. And then, of course, Bryson Neal, we got to recognize the fact that, hey, he didn't get the win today. He didn't finish in front of the guy he really wanted to finish in front of, but he did everything right as far as the championship. The long game is fine right now for Bryson Neal.
Yeah, I said it early in the race. I just felt like he was going to tick them off one at a time, not panic. I was surprised to hear him say after the race, though, he said, man, I was just sending it. I had some really sketchy moments. I was ping-ponging off everything. That, to me, shows he was willing to risk it, and he really wanted this win here today.
It's a great day of racing. We will be back tomorrow. We'll knock a couple wheels off. We'll go 2-wheel racing tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then, of course, we've got the John Penton coming up for round number 10. That is September 28th and 29th. ATVs, obviously, on Saturday, bikes on Sunday. And then don't forget to tune into those GNCC highlight episodes coming out on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock Eastern. But that is going to wrap things up for us here today as far as the live broadcast. We got EMTB racing coming up tonight. Big thanks to Jackson Burrow, Zach Heron, Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, JC, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, Kirsten, Jack, and Cameron, our drone pilots, Gabe Scholl, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our director, Don Hampton, our producer, Adam Gordon, and, of course, our executive producer, Miss Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.